Chapter 2240. It doesn't matter if someone sees you. Just kill him. Yuan Neng sneered and released a flying dagger from one of his arms. In the void, it actually turned into a skull, killing the cultivator who was hiding in the dark on the spot. He was not only killing the warrior, but also warning Ling Xiao not to play any tricks. Otherwise, he would end up like that man. Ling Xiao frowned and said, "Well, tell me, what do you want me to do for you?" "You're smart. Follow me." Yuan Neng smiled. That smile was really scary, like the smile of a devil which made people shudder. Ling Xiao didn't want to fight back now because he knew that Yuan Neng was much stronger than he thought. This guy was definitely not someone he could fight back now. Even if he released the Sky, Tyrant martial spirit, he was definitely not a match for this guy. This guy hid his strength too well. A wise man knows better than to fight when the odds are against him. Yuan Neng brought Ling Xiao to the depths of the first floor of the ghost prison. Ling Xiao was surprised to find that there was an active volcano here. The magma inside was black and was filled with a lot of rare herbs. It was like a huge alchemy furnace. How can there be such a place? Ling Xiao was a little surprised. I discovered this 10 years ago, and then I've been keeping this a secret for as long as I could. I don't know what the ghost prison was used for in the past, but it's probably a place where the strong warriors used to temper their bodies. There are a lot of herbs in it that you don't even dare to think about. Yuan Neng snorted. "You're not going to let me jump down to test it for you, are you?" Ling Xiao suddenly shivered and asked. "Yes, that's right. You'll die anyway if you don't go down. Maybe you can try your luck if you go down. In the magma, you can condense a powerful magma combat body. It's more powerful than the fiery combat body. It condenses the energy of the earth and fire elements. Once you succeed, you'll have a middle-level combat body. It's much better than using the fire and earth elemental jades." Yuan Neng grinned and said. His expression made it clear that he was treating Ling Xiao as a test subject. At that moment, Ling Xiao thought of Yuan Neng's inner thoughts. This fella was probably thinking that if he died, he would be able to complete the mission given by the Sha family. If he hadn't died and had really cultivated the lava battle body, he would have killed Ling Xiao and jumped into the lava himself. He was really cunning. "Are you doing it or not?" Yuan Neng looked at Ling Xiao and said, "If you don't want to do it, I can ask someone else to do it. It doesn't have to be you." Ling Xiao looked at the boiling magma below and considered this matter in his heart. The lava combat constitution was indeed terrifying. Together with the thunder combat constitution, it was as if he had two combat constitutions. In the future, their advantage would be even greater. But would he be able to withstand the terrifying heat of the lava? "Jump!" Yuan Venerate suddenly transmitted his voice. "What?" Ling Xiao was stunned. "I want you to jump and quickly eat the 30th piece of Thunder Origin Jade. Use the power of thunder to resist the power of the lava, and you'll be able to benefit from it," Yuan Neng explained. "Trust me, I won't let you die. Your mystic world body was originally formed by the condensation of the earth element, so it is most suitable for cultivating the lava battle body. Furthermore, you have a few types of divine flames in your body. After combining them, the lava battle body you condense will be dozens of times stronger than the average person's lava battle body." All right, Ling Xiao gritted his teeth. Actually, he had considered this as well. However, people would always hesitate when faced with possible danger. However, Yuan Neng had given him a final resolution. He turned to Yuan Neng and said, "I hope you don't go back on your word." After saying that, he jumped into the boiling magma. The moment he jumped, Ling Xiao ate the 30th piece of Thunder Origin Jade. The moment he fell into the magma, he activated the Scarlet Sun feathered robe. This way, he could avoid the danger of being burned to death instantly. But even so, the instant he entered the lava, he felt as though his skin was instantly scorched. A terrible pain shot straight to his brain, and he actually fainted right away. This pain was simply worse than any other time he had experienced it before. The moment he fainted, The thunder energy in his body blocked the heat of the magma from continuing to destroy his body. The two types of energy formed a strange hard shell on the surface of Ling Xiao's body. Within the hard shell, there were not only burning flames and surging lava, but also flickering thunder and lightning. Ling Xiao's body started to temper rapidly without him realizing it. Yuan Venerate played a crucial role in this tempering process. He replaced Ling Xiao to control this body and guide the fusion of the two types of energy. For Ling Xiao, this was a deep sleep, a complete deep sleep. This was also within Yuan Venerate's expectations. This magma wasn't ordinary magma. Ling Xiao's skin and muscles were almost completely destroyed. However, at that moment, the life martial soul in Ling Xiao's body started to take effect. This life martial soul had been obtained by Ling Xiao after he had killed the enemy in Yuhua town. Although it wasn't of much use in battle, it was very important for the recovery of the body. Ling Xiao fell into a deep sleep amidst this destruction and rebirth. He woke up and fell into a deep sleep again. This torture was simply too painful for him. However, Ling Xiao was ecstatic. Every time he woke up, he would discover some changes in his body. In addition to the power of the Royal Heaven-Earth Empress and the flickering thunder and lightning, there was also boiling magma in the cells of his body. This was the first step to success. If he didn't die, this meant that there was a high chance of success. A day passed, and Ling Xiao fell into a deep sleep once again. 2 days passed, and Ling Xiao woke up for a while. He discovered that the pain didn't seem so intense anymore. This was because brand new skin and muscles had completely formed on the surface of his body. This was a brand new existence formed by thunder, earth, fire, and life energy. However, after his skin and muscles were completely transformed, an even more frightening pain came from his bones. He fainted once again. 3 days passed, and he woke up again. By this time, his bones had been completely transformed. However, the transformation of his internal organs had just begun. The pain caused him to fall into a deep sleep once again. On the 4th day, he woke up again, and the transformation of his internal organs was finally complete. This time, he didn't fall into a deep sleep. He had already adapted to this kind of pain that was worse than death. He believed that he could bear it. Yuan Venerate fell into a deep sleep. Only 1 or 2 of the spirit gems he had obtained previously were left. In this process, the consumption of energy was truly incomparably huge. It seemed like he would have to think of a way to obtain more spirit gems after leaving the ghost prison. Chapter 2241. His skin, muscles, bones, and internal organs were all successfully transformed. On the 4th day, the cells in Ling Xiao's body had already achieved some sort of harmony. Lightning and lava were enveloped by the power of the heavenly earth. Intermediate lightning battle constitution successfully condensed. Intermediate lava battle constitution successfully condensed. However, this battle constitution was not stable enough. Ling Xiao did not plan to leave just like that. His body had adapted to the terrifying lava, so he began to absorb the energy of the herbs and the lava to speed up the reconstruction and recovery of his body. During the recovery and consolidation process, Ling Xiao looked up at the lava. Yuanning was pacing around impatiently. It had been 4 days, and Ling Xiao did not seem to be coming out alive. How could Yuanning not be anxious? Didn't that kid say that his body is strong? Why is he so useless? Let's wait for 1 more day. If he still doesn't come out, I'll find someone else to try. Yuanning looked down at the lava coldly. His expression was very unpleasant. However, Ling Xiao felt very happy when he saw Yuanning's irritable look. Originally, he was worried about how to successfully condense his intermediate lightning battle constitution. He did not expect that he would be forced by Yuanning to jump into the lava and succeed just like that. He closed his eyes and focused on recovering and consolidating. Although his cultivation did not break through, The strength of his body had long surpassed his cultivation. If he encountered Shanghai now, he was sure that he could completely crush him. As for dealing with Yuanning, he was not very confident, but there was a glimmer of hope. Ling Xiao believed that he would not be killed by Yuanning. If he fully released his martial soul, there was even a possibility that he could hurt Yuanning. Of course, he would only be hurt. He would hold on for one more day. If Yuanning did not leave, he would escape. He did not want to fight Yuanning one-on-one. It was too dangerous. Just like that, it was the 5th day. Ling Xiao could feel that not only was there terrifying lightning energy circulating in his cells, but there was also an even more powerful lava energy. This lava energy was created by the power of the heavenly earth, the true Samadhi fire, the dark flame of death, and the ancient hellfire. It was more powerful than any lava energy. Yuanning is gone. It's time for me to leave too. While Yuanning went out to catch others to test, Ling Xiao dashed out of the lava, changed into a new set of clothes, and fled into the distance. In the past few days, for the sake of cultivating, he had really torn quite a lot of his clothes. However, it didn't matter if his clothes were torn. The most important thing was that his strength had increased, so he was in a good mood. Master, you've really scared me. You actually managed to gain benefits from such adversity. I thought we were dead for sure this time. After 4 days of deep sleep, the divine grimoire finally woke up. She had no choice but to sleep. The heat in the lava was too terrifying. If she didn't sleep, she would probably be burned alive. She was really too shocked. What kind of existence was her master, Ling Xiao? Even if it was thought to be a dead end, it would still turn out to be a good thing in the end. In the past, she might have thought of leaving Ling Xiao and finding a bigger and more reliable backer. But now, she didn't have that thought at all. Ling Xiao was her biggest backer. If anyone wanted to chase her away, she wouldn't be happy. It's been so long. I don't know how the ghost prison trial is going, but I don't think Yuanning is dead. Yuanning is really much stronger than I thought. If they really fought Yuanning to the death, the only unlucky ones would be the disciples of the 8 Immortal Mountain. Ling Xiao smiled. He couldn't be bothered to care about other people's affairs. Now that his strength had increased greatly, he planned to kill some prisoners and monsters to earn some contribution points. There were soul gems and many medicinal herbs in the Hall of Good Reward and Evil that could be exchanged with contribution points. It would be a waste not to earn contribution points. Of course, if he met the disciples of the Scarlet Immortal Mountain, he didn't mind letting them taste the pain of destruction. He couldn't wait to use the new strength that he had just obtained. This is really a case of traveling far and wide looking for something, only to find it without any effort. Ling Xiao suddenly saw a few disciples of the Scarlet Immortal Mountain fighting with a few prisoners in front of him. He used the Tai Chi eye and carefully checked. There was no one else around to ambush him, which meant that this was not a trap. This group of bastards wanted to kill him before. Now, he would take the lives of this group of bastards first. Complete beast transformation. Ling Xiao instantly transformed into the 3rd form of the Sun God. His body seemed to be wrapped in a layer of Sun God's armor. He was still in the standing human battle form, but he had sharp scales and a terrifying snake tail. And sharp claws. The 10 disciples of the Scarlet Immortal Mountain came here to look for Ling Xiao and sense some of Ling Xiao's aura. However, he was unexpectedly besieged by dozens of demonic beasts. Up until now, although they had not died and had killed many demonic beasts, as time passed, they were all getting tired. The number of monsters and prisoners didn't decrease. Those monsters seemed to be controlled by the prisoners and were really fearless of death. What should we do, senior brother? Should we send a signal for help to Lord Sansi? The 10 of them surrounded the city with their backs facing each other. They were already surrounded by terrifying monsters and prisoners, and their lives were in imminent danger. What are you still asking for? Hurry up! If you die, everything will be gone. Someone roared. Unfortunately, when they took out the signal flare and were about to send a signal, the monsters seemed to have guessed their intentions and suddenly rushed forward like a swarm of bees, extinguishing all the signal flare. The 10 of them were in despair. If not for the fact that they were looking for Ling Xiao, if not for the fact that they were worried about being assassinated by Ling Xiao, they wouldn't be so tired. They could have rested while completing the trial, but it was useless to regret now. They could only fight. However, the dawn of hope suddenly bloomed at this moment. All of a sudden, the demon beasts and prisoners surrounding them began to wail miserably. One by one, corpses were thrown into the sky and then fell to the ground. Someone saw a guy who didn't look like a human fighting crazily over there. Is that helping us? Someone asked hesitantly. It should be. Don't forget that the power of the Sha family can reach the sky. We followed Lord Sansi. How could they let us die like this? Great, long live Lord Sansi. Long live the Sha family. The 10 warriors of the Scarlet Immortal Mountain were excited, and their exhausted bodies seemed to have regained their strength. They believed that as long as they held on for a while, they would be rescued. 10 minutes later, the surroundings were covered with the corpses of monsters and prisoners. There were dozens of corpses, and that strange warrior stood there, looking at the people of the Scarlet Immortal Mountain indifferently. Chapter 2242. Hey, what are you waiting for? The Sha family sent you to save us, right? Hurry up and give us the recovery elixir. One of the disciples who was at the peak of the first level of the Yin-Yang realm shouted at Ling Xiao. However, as soon as he finished speaking, his head flew up. At this moment, the disciples of the Scarlet Fairy Mountain finally knew fear. The person who came was not a friend at all, but an enemy. You still expect the Sha family to save you? Have you forgotten what I said before? I will let you die one by one. No one from the Scarlet Fairy Mountain will leave here alive. Ling Xiao removed the transformation on his face and revealed his original appearance. At that moment, the remaining 9 disciples of the Scarlet Fairy Mountain turned pale. No, impossible. It's impossible. They couldn't believe that Ling Xiao actually appeared here alive. They couldn't believe that Ling Xiao's strength was so terrifying that he could kill so many beasts and prisoners. Was this still Ling Xiao? It was unbelievable. All of you go on ahead. The Lord Sansi you speak of will meet up with you very soon. After saying that, Ling Xiao's lips curled into a sneer. His terrifying body turned into a meteor and rushed into the crowd. Those who were touched by him either had their bodies torn apart or were bitten to death by venomous snakes. Ling Xiao didn't destroy their bodies. He wanted to let the disciples of the other mountains see that these people were killed by beasts and not by him, Ling Xiao. Why do I have so many contribution points? After killing the disciples of the Scarlet Fairy Mountain, Ling Xiao received a notification from his identity card. He couldn't help but be stunned. According to the sex rules, killing a beast or a prisoner was equivalent to 1 contribution point. He killed a total of 45 people. However, his contribution points directly rose to 100 points. Could it be that killing other disciples also gives me contribution points? Ling Xiao was stunned. Then he confirmed his thoughts. The ghost prison was a place where killing was indiscriminate. It was completely normal for disciples to kill each other. The 8 Immortal Mountain had never prohibited disciples from killing each other. He had even said so during the entrance examination. How ruthless! Which disciple would be truly loyal to the sect if they were nurtured this way? It was too unreliable. However, Ling Xiao was still happy to receive contribution points. 100 points would definitely be useful for him in the future. Since that's the case, there's no need for me to deliberately kill those prisoners and Yao beasts. As long as I kill the disciples of the Scarlet Immortal Mountain, I'll be able to obtain enough contribution points. Thinking of this, Ling Xiao couldn't help but reveal a proud smile. This way he would be able to kill 2 birds with 1 stone and save him a lot of trouble. There were still more than 5 days until the end of the ghost prison trial. However, it was unlikely that the trial would end early. The existence of origin energy was a nightmare for all the warriors in this trial. Ling Xiao hadn't given up on Nether Spirit's Claw, but he didn't want to fight Yuan Ning head-on. Perhaps if his cultivation base were to increase by 1 or 2 minor realms, reaching the late stage of the first layer, or even the peak of the first layer, he would still be able to put up a fight. If he wanted to break through now, the best way was to find a powerful demonic beast core. It would be best if he could find a demonic beast core that was at the peak of the first layer of hell. Relying on the beast god form, he would be able to fuse with the demonic beast core more easily and bring about a breakthrough in his cultivation base. However, the first layer of the ghost prison was still very big. There were many demonic beasts and prisoners at the early and middle stage of hell. There were fewer demonic beasts and prisoners at the late stage of cultivation base. Demonic beasts and prisoners at the peak of cultivation base were even rarer. Only Yuan Ning had exceeded the limit of the first layer of the ghost prison. It was still rather difficult for Ling Xiao to find a powerful demonic beast core. However, Ling Xiao wasn't in a hurry. Some things could only be found by chance. He had already upgraded his intermediate lightning combat body and intermediate lava combat body. In fact, he had already fulfilled his initial expectations of entering the ghost prison. Next, he just had to pass the time. It would be best if he could break through his cultivation base. If he couldn't, he would give up on dealing with Yuan Ning and wait for the time to end. Of course, there was one more thing that he definitely had to do, and that was to assassinate the disciples of the Scarlet Immortal Mountain. There were more than 100 disciples from the Scarlet Immortal Mountain this time, and he had already killed 10 of them. There should be others who died at the hands of prisoners or demonic beasts. Ling Xiao maintained his demonic beast form as he shuttled back and forth in the ghost prison. Not long after, he stopped, because he saw another 10 Scarlet Immortal Mountain disciples. Looks like this desert sea is very careful. They actually divided the Scarlet Immortal Mountain disciples into groups of 10. But it's a pity. If it was me from before, you might be able to cause trouble for me. But now, these 10 people are just my contribution points. He was about to make a move when he suddenly saw another person surrounded by the 10 people. Was it Lin Yang? Lin Yang, I'm sorry. We were entrusted by Zhou Tong to take your life. Who asked you to mix with that Ling Xiao of all people? One of the Scarlet Immortal Mountain disciples was actually at the late stage of the first level of the Yin Yang realm. His cultivation base was much stronger than Lin Yang's. Because of this, Lin Yang was lying on the ground and looked very weak. He was obviously seriously injured. Zhou Tong, that bastard. If I get out alive, I'll definitely kill him. Lin Yang said angrily, Don't think you'll be fine. You're obviously a disciple of Purple Immortal Mountain, but those people from Purple Immortal Mountain didn't save you. You're really a failure. Why don't you just give up on Ling Xiao and join our Scarlet Immortal Mountain? I believe Lord Desert Sea will definitely welcome you. Although you're not a reincarnation realm martial artist, your talent is not bad. Don't waste it like this. The martial artist at the late stage of the first level of the Yin Yang realm looked coldly at Lin Yang. He was clearly persuading him to surrender. Bah, don't look down on me. Although I was born in the Lin family and have done many bad things, I, Lin Yang, have chosen Ling Xiao to be my boss. I will never betray him. Lin Yang spat out a mouthful of bloody saliva and cursed. You really don't know what's good for you. I didn't want to kill you because you're from the Lin family, but now go to hell. The martial artist at the first level attacked. Lin Yang closed his eyes and sighed helplessly. He did not regret the path he had chosen. He only regretted that he could not continue to fight side by side with Ling Xiao. He wondered how Ling Xiao was doing now. He had a bad habit. Once he decided to follow someone, he would never betray them, even if he had to follow the same path to the end. It did not matter if he was called stupid or stupid, but after a long time, the attack of death did not come. Instead, A strange, salty liquid dripped onto his mouth. He opened his eyes and looked over. The martial artist at the first level of the Yin-Yang realm, who was still arrogant, was wrapped around by a strange demon beast's tail. He was no longer alive. Chapter 2243. The person who wanted to kill him was hanging in mid-air, fresh blood dripping down. What was going on? Lin Yang was a little confused. The next moment, he was even more surprised because this terrifying monster instantly turned into an afterimage. Then, the other 9 Scarlet Deity Mountain disciples all fell to the ground, dead. 20. Ling Xiao threw down the corpse and muttered to himself. It was a pity that these people did not wear storage rings when they entered the ghost prison trial. They were probably worried that they would die inside. Only Sha Hai, Qing Feiying, Luo Yinxing, and a few other confident martial artists wore storage rings. Boss! Although Lin Yang could not recognize the monster in front of him, he could recognize the monster's voice. Yes, it's me. Originally, Ling Xiao did not trust Lin Yang very much, so he had never told Lin Yang some things about himself. But today, seeing that Lin Yang would rather die than betray him, he felt that there were some secrets that he should tell Lin Yang. This was a bridge of trust. He returned to his human form and gave Lin Yang a few healing pills, saying, "Hurry up and heal your injuries. Later, come with me to hunt the Scarlet Deity Mountain disciples." Okay. Lin Yang nodded without any hesitation. "Aren't you going to ask why?" Ling Xiao asked with a smile. "There's nothing to ask. This is already the second time you saved my life. I will do whatever you tell me to do. There's no need to ask so many questions." Lin Yang shook his head and said, "I like your character, but I still have to tell you the reason. It's because the Scarlet Deity Mountain people want to kill me, so I have to kill them." Ling Xiao smiled. "They want to kill me too, and I want to kill them too," Lin Yang said excitedly. "Then heal your injuries first." Lin Yang's injuries were not light. Although Ling Xiao's healing pills were very effective, he would not be able to recover without 2 hours. During this period of time, Ling Xiao had moved Lin Yang to a secluded place and stood guard for him. But at this moment, a terrifying aura suddenly appeared beside Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao was startled. While he dodged, he circulated his essence force to block with all his might. Even so, he was still injured. On his arm, there was a wound so deep that his bones could be seen. Fortunately, under the effect of his life martial soul, his wounds were healing at a speed visible to the naked eye. Ling Xiao was really shocked. Although he was in human form now, he was still in his human form. However, with the protection of the sealed world body, the strengthening of the thunder battle body and lava battle body, as well as the protection of his origin energy, Yang Kai had no chance of winning. However, he was still injured. The person who attacked him was truly powerful. He was surprised, but the person who ambushed him was even more surprised. Originally, that guy thought that this attack would definitely be able to kill Ling Xiao. Who would have thought that in the end it didn't succeed? It only left a scar on Ling Xiao's arm. Luo Yunsheng. Ling Xiao's killing intent skyrocketed. Luo Yunsheng, who was originally completely covered by the thick fog, revealed his true body. Murderous aura was especially effective against this kind of concealment technique. It's a pity that this attack didn't kill you. The saber in Luo Yunsheng's hand was very ordinary. It was only a mortal-grade spiritual weapon. It was even inferior to the weapons of many ordinary disciples of the 8 Immortal Mountain. This made Ling Xiao even more surprised. How did he injure him? Martial soul. But this guy didn't release his martial soul. Did he just fuse with it? Ling Xiao frowned and looked at the scar on his arm. He was a little angry. If it was Sha Hai who ambushed him, he could accept it. However, it was Luo Yunsheng who ambushed him. He couldn't understand it. There was almost no interaction between him and Luo Yunsheng. If there was a connection, it would be that he saved Lin Yang, who was a disciple of the Purple Immortal Mountain. Why? Ling Xiao asked indifferently. Of course, He wasn't afraid of Luo Yunqing. Luo Yunqing's strength was still a little inferior to Shanghai's. Although his martial soul was strange, Shanghai's martial soul was probably stronger. If he was afraid of Luo Yunqing, how could he kill Shanghai? Because someone wants you dead. Luo Yunqing smiled faintly. Who? Ling Xiao asked again. Don't worry, I won't let you become a confused ghost. However, I can only tell you before you die, not now. Luo Yunqing smiled faintly and said, I can only say that you are really unlucky. I have no enmity with you, but someone has offered me a price I can't refuse. Therefore, you must die. If you want to kill me, you might have to pay a higher price. Ling Xiao moved his injured arm and looked at Luo Yunqing and said, Well, I still don't have the intention to kill you. It's best if you tell me the mastermind behind this. I can let you leave alive. No matter what, your strength is ranked in the top 4 among this batch of disciples. It would be a pity if you died now. Other than Shanghai and Cheng Feiying, I don't know who else among this batch of disciples is qualified to be mentioned in the same breath as me. Luo Yunqing said indifferently. It was obvious that he was very confident. The storage ring on his hand was proof. Only a confident person would dare to wear such a thing when entering the ghost prison trial. Of course there is. It's me. Ling Xiao said very seriously. Haha, this joke is very funny. After Luo Yunqing finished speaking, his body suddenly disappeared again. Ling Xiao stood there and looked ahead indifferently, as if he couldn't catch Luo Yunqing's trajectory at all. Puchi! A bloody wound appeared on Ling Xiao's abdomen, but no blood flowed out. Because of Ling Xiao's life martial spirit, his recovery ability was incomparably strong. Ha ha ha, this is your so-called strength? You don't even have the ability to touch me, but I can constantly injure you. Luo Yunqing's cruel laughter echoed in the air. Then, more and more wounds appeared on Ling Xiao's body. This made Lin Yang, who was recuperating at the side, extremely nervous. Although Luo Yunqing had always kept a low profile, his strength was extremely powerful. Moreover, he was a reincarnation realm martial artist, and his cultivation was much stronger than Ling Xiao's. Was Ling Xiao really a match for him? But after a moment, Lin Yang suddenly froze. He discovered a strange phenomenon. No matter how Luo Yunqing attacked, those wounds seemed to only appear on Ling Xiao's body, which was not painful. All the vital parts were attacked, but not once was he injured. Was this a coincidence? Lin Yang didn't believe it. He was more willing to believe that Ling Xiao was doing some experiment. With such a guess, he healed while observing the two's battle. Have you played enough? Ling Xiao suddenly spoke. He suddenly stretched out a hand and grabbed the short knife in Luo Yunqing's hand. Luo Yunqing seemed to be shocked. He hurriedly retreated, even abandoning the knife. How could you capture my movement trajectory? In the distance, Luo Yunqing seemed to have lost his previous calmness. He became somewhat panicked. Chapter 2244. You should be a dual martial spirit holder. Ling Xiao said indifferently, It's a martial soul that can make anything in your hands incomparably sharp. As long as the opponent's cultivation is lower than yours, you can forcibly ignore his defense. The other martial spirit can allow you to hide your body while maintaining a strange trajectory, making it impossible for the enemy to track you. Unfortunately, your two martial spirits are useless in front of me. You bastard! Obviously, Luo Yunqing's secret had been exposed by Ling Xiao. He couldn't let Ling Xiao live. Originally, I wanted to have some fun before killing you, but now I have no choice but to get serious. Luo Yunqing's panic turned into anger. His legs suddenly bent and two short knives appeared in his hands. They were still ordinary, mortal-grade spiritual weapons. Die! With a shout, he exerted force in his legs, and his body shot toward Ling Xiao like a cannonball. This trajectory was different from a normal straight line. Although he was rushing from the front, when he was only 1 or 2 meters away from Ling Xiao, he suddenly appeared behind Ling Xiao. I've already captured your movement trajectory once, but you still used this move. How stupid! Ling Xiao sneered. As if he had been waiting there for a long time, he turned around and punched. This punch was wrapped in a terrifying purplish-blue light. Thunder and lightning roared on the fist. Although it wasn't a move, with Ling Xiao's current strength and lightning combat body, if Luo Yunqing was hit, he would definitely be seriously injured, if not killed. Luo Yunqing was shocked when he saw Ling Xiao's fist, which was flickering with lightning, coming towards him. He retreated again. You've actually cultivated the lightning combat body. That's right. Ling Xiao only used the power of the lightning combat body to deal with Luo Yunqing. His whole body was bathed in thunder and lightning, like a thunder god. It's too late to know now. Ling Xiao's gaze was cold and indifferent. Damn it, looks like I can't keep it to myself anymore. When Luo Yunqing discovered that Ling Xiao had condensed the lightning battle body, he knew that he couldn't hold back anymore. Otherwise, he would definitely die today. Defense-breaking martial spirit. Elementary blade, war body. In that instant, sharp blades appeared on Luo Yunqing's body. He looked like a porcupine. The terrifying saber chi enveloped his entire body, and the terrifying saber chi attacked like a violent storm. Ling Xiao was also stunned. He had never heard of the sharp blade battle body. He had never seen it before. Such a constitution might not be as horrifying as an elemental one, but it was still quite lethal. He had no choice but to withdraw his fist and take out his heavy sword. It instantly slashed out. The long sword was actually wrapped with the power of lightning. The first move of the Thunderbolt Meteor Sword art, Thunderbolt Fall. Now that the Meteor Sword art had been infused with the power of lightning, its moves had become even more overbearing and powerful. The lightning and the storm-like saber chi collided in the void, producing continuous roars. The surrounding ground and mountain walls were blasted into pieces. Some of the demonic beasts and prisoners who were hiding in the dark and trying to sneak up on them were also killed by the overflowing energy. Only Lin Yang, who stayed behind Ling Xiao, could heal himself safely. Interesting. Your elementary blade war body is also a kind of constitution, right? I've never seen it before. Again, Ling Xiao had originally thought that Luo Yunqing would be a dark horse after Sha Hai and Cheng Feiying. After today's battle, he realized that was indeed the case. He had condensed the lightning battle body and the lava battle body, but this guy had also condensed the sharp blade war body. Although he didn't know what it was, its power was not much weaker than the lightning battle body. Moreover, Luo Yunqing's cultivation was at the peak of the first level of the Yin-Yang realm, which was the same as Sha Hai's cultivation. In terms of cultivation alone, he was definitely stronger than Ling Xiao. Apart from Yuan Neng, this guy was probably the strongest opponent that Ling Xiao had encountered in the ghost prison trial. However, the stronger his opponent was, the more excited Ling Xiao was. He had no intention of using beast mode at all, because he was worried that once he used beast mode, the battle would end a little too quickly. Ling Xiao raised his long sword again, and the purplish blue light on his body became even more dazzling. Lightning kept exploding on the long sword, making a terrifying sizzling sound. He exerted strength in his feet, and his figure flashed. He took the initiative to attack Luo Yunqing with the Moonlight Meteor Step. Luo Yunqing didn't run away either. Perhaps he knew that if he ran away, he wouldn't be able to fulfill someone's request and wouldn't be able to escape death. Or maybe he still thought that he could defeat Ling Xiao. Thousands of strange sabers appeared all over his body. The saber aura released from these sabers was twice as much as before, and it shot out again with a loud bang. Not only that, Luo Yunqing's body disappeared again, submerging into the strange fog. It was obvious that he still didn't want to fight Ling Xiao head-on. Instead, he was prepared to use the fighting method that he was best at to fight Ling Xiao to the death. There was nothing wrong with this approach. For him, this was his advantage. Ling Xiao looked at the saber aura coldly, not even blinking his eyebrows. The heavy sword in his hand was waved like an ordinary wooden stick. The sword's shadow enveloped his body. All the saber aura was completely shattered when it touched the sword's shadow. You have the sharp blade battle body, but you don't dare to fight me head-on. You, Luo Yunsheng, really disappoint me. Let's end this battle. Ling Zhao's sword suddenly changed. The aura on his body also changed instantly. Half of it was purplish-blue lightning, as if it could destroy everything. Half of it was surging hot magma, as if it could melt everything. On the long sword, there was also a purplish-blue light that merged with the hot magma. Die, Luo Yunsheng. Your fate ends here. Ling Zhao's sword stabbed into the void. There was no one in that position. However, a terrifying howl of agony could be heard. Luo Yunsheng's figure appeared. His body was directly penetrated by Ling Zhao. The hot magma and the terrible lightning were destroying his vitality. Impossible. How can you have two battle bodies? This is impossible. Luo Yunsheng's eyes widened. Before he died, he seemed to have seen the most unbelievable scene. Ling Zhao actually had two battle bodies, lightning battle body and lava battle body. This was simply unacceptable. You're going to die. I might as well let you know before you die. In front of me, you're actually not worth mentioning at all. The energy in Ling Zhao's body began to surge crazily. Luo Yunsheng's body trembled violently. In panic, he was completely desperate. Intermediate battle body. You actually have two intermediate battle bodies. You. Who the hell are you? Who the hell are you? At the moment before he died, Luo Yunsheng thought of a lot of things. He regretted coming to trouble Ling Zhao. Chapter 2245. Mo Feiyu, you asked me to kill Ling Zhao, but you don't know who you've offended. Ha 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 ha, I'll take my leave first. Mo Feiyu, you'll be here with me soon. Luo Yunsheng was dead. Before he died, he revealed the person who asked him to kill Ling Zhao. It was none other than Mo Feiyu. Luo Yunsheng's body fell to the ground. Ling Zhao felt his identity card flash, and his contribution points increased by 100 points all of a sudden. He now had 200 points, including the remaining 10 points from before. He now had a total of 210 points. He couldn't help but smile. Sure enough, he could get contribution points by killing fellow disciples. Moreover, these contribution points were all the contribution points that Luo Yunsheng had obtained in the ghost prison. It wasn't strange for someone like Luo Yunsheng to obtain 100 contribution points in 4 days. Ling Zhao even felt that it was a little too little. Perhaps this guy had been looking for him all this time, so he wasted time. Of course, contribution points were a part of it. He took Luo Yunsheng's storage ring. He checked the storage ring with his mind power and was pleasantly surprised. Luo Yunsheng's storage ring only had less than 100,000 low-grade spiritual stones. However, there was a demonic beast core at the peak of the first level of the Yin-Yang realm. The demonic beast core's attribute was lightning. It was too easy for him to refine it with his lightning battle body. This was also something he needed to break through his cultivation. In addition, there were also the beast souls trapped in the beast soul pearl. These things were very helpful to Ling Zhao's cultivation as a beast god. He couldn't fully control the sun god beast soul, just like how he couldn't control the sky tyrant martial soul, because he was too weak. These beast souls could not only be used to fight, but they could also strengthen the beast god's body and sun god martial soul. To Ling Zhao, the strengthening of the soul was as important as the strengthening of the body. He wouldn't let it go. Lin Yang was still healing his wounds. Ling Zhao thought about it and sat down. He was going to eat the demonic beast core and use the beast soul to refine his soul and improve his cultivation. He was very eager to improve his cultivation. After all, Yuan Neng was too strong. Even if he wasn't afraid of the desert, Yuan Neng was a nightmare. If Yuan Neng found out that he didn't die and even condensed the lava battle body, He would definitely skin him alive. He didn't want to die at the hands of that guy. That would be too unjust. How troublesome. Ling Xiao frowned as soon as he sat. Perhaps it was because the battle with Luo Yinsheng was so intense that it attracted a lot of people. There were people coming from the only two directions. Ling Xiao opened his Taiji eye and took a look. There were quite a number of people. Other than the disciples from the Scarlet Immortal Mountain, there were also disciples from the Purple Immortal Mountain and other mountains. He quickly burned his body's bodies to burn burns. If he let these guys know that he killed Luo Yinsheng, he didn't know what would happen. He didn't want to cause trouble, did he? As he didn't Feiyu didn't the other kill the other disciples, however, they mustn't provoke him. Otherwise, he wouldn't show any mercy. Soon, these people arrived one after another. Ling Xiao noticed that the cultivation levels of the leaders were not weak. Among them, 5 of them were at the peak of the first level of the yin-yang transformation stage, hell. Presumably, these 5 people should be the leaders of some of the mountain peaks. Of course, although their cultivation was on par with Shahai and Chengfeiying, their combat strength should be inferior. Ling Xiao did not pay attention to these people. He just sat there and paid attention to the situation around him. Lin Yang still needed some time to recover from his injuries. After Lin Yang finished healing, he would choose to leave. Let these people do what they want. He couldn't be bothered with them anyway. "Hey, kid!" One of the first transition martial artists shouted at Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao still ignored him. "Kid!" These people really dared to shout. Fortunately, he had a good temper and wouldn't fight over such a small matter. "Don't play dead, kid. I'm asking you a question. Did a battle happen here just now? Who was fighting with whom?" Another person was infuriated when he saw that Ling Xiao did not say anything. "Do you see the storage ring on his hand?" A person next to him reminded. In fact, Ling Xiao had already put away Luo Yinsheng's storage ring. The storage ring on his hand was his. "Kid, hand over your storage ring and get out of here. You must have stolen this storage ring from someone else, right?" No one thought that Ling Xiao had stolen the storage ring from someone else, because among the martial artists who entered the ghost prison this time, only a few experts would wear storage rings. Ling Xiao definitely wasn't qualified. He wasn't a match for those experts. However, Ling Xiao still didn't say anything. He didn't even look at these people, as if they didn't exist. This kid is courting death. How dare he ignore us? Let's just do it. We'll split the things inside equally among the 5 of us, someone suggested. Good idea. Since this kid doesn't know what's good for him, we don't have to give him face. Out of the 5 people, 4 of them had reached a consensus. Only one person walked to the side and shook his head. "If you want to deal with him, go ahead. I won't get involved." This person saw Lin Yang and didn't want to fight because his surname was also Lin. No matter what, from the current situation, this martial artist didn't leave because he wanted to protect Lin Yang. He was also a member of the Lin family. He couldn't hurt his benefactor, although he was also envious of the storage ring and the things inside. It's good that he's not here. The 4 of us can share more. The battle just now was so loud. It must be a battle between martial artists at the peak of the first level of the yin-yang realm. There must be something good in the storage ring. The remaining 4 people had long been blinded by greed. The surrounding martial artists couldn't interfere. They could only watch from the side. 10 of the Scarlet Deity Mountain disciples didn't say anything because they wanted Ling Xiao to be killed by these 4. Although these 4 were weaker than Shahai, they were also at the peak of the first level of the ghost prison. They must be very strong. Wait. At this moment, a terrifying murderous aura suddenly came from afar. Ling Xiao's expression changed drastically. He knew who was coming. It was Yuan Neng. He must have killed many of the disciples who came in for the assessment, but failed to refine the lava battle body. He was furious and wanted to kill all the disciples. However, Ling Xiao was the only one who knew how terrifying Yuan Neng was. The 4 people who were about to fight Ling Xiao also sensed Yuan Ning's aura. They chose to leave excitedly. Chapter 2246. Let's go and kill Yuan Ning. We'll deal with this kid later. The four guys who had just hated Ling Xiao and coveted Ling Xiao's storage ring chose to give up on Ling Xiao for the time being when they sensed Yuan Ning's aura. After all, the things in the storage ring of a warrior at the peak of the first layer of hell were not even 1,000th of what Yuan Ning had. Go? Where are you going? However, at this moment Ling Xiao, who had been silent all this time, spoke. In fact, he had been waiting for the four of them to make a move. Once they made a move, he would kill them on the spot. He wanted to let the others know how powerful he was and not to be his enemy in the upcoming battle. However, the sudden appearance of Yuan Ning made the four of them give up on making a move on him for the time being. It seemed that they would deal with him in the future. How could he, Ling Xiao, take a beating passively and wait for these people to settle the score? If he wanted to kill them, he would have to do it now. Anyway, these guys were not from the Desert Sea and did not have a strong background like the Shah family. It did not matter even if he killed them openly. What did you just say? One of the four turned his head to look at Ling Xiao and asked gloomily. I said, don't go anywhere. If you want to attack me, you'll have to pay the price. Ling Xiao said coldly. Ha ha ha, this kid is crazy. The four senior brothers Zhang, Wang, Zhao, and Li are experts from the Scarlet Fairy Mountain and the Purple Fairy Mountain. Although they are not as strong as Lord Desert Sea, they are not far behind. Aside from Lord Desert Sea and Chengfeiing, these people were the strongest. You should feel lucky that they are not attacking you now. How dare you talk so big? The laughter came from Qi Yenner. Unknowingly, she had also brought 9 disciples from the Scarlet Fairy Mountain here. Someone had probably tipped them off. Haha, you guys are really in cahoots. These guys want to steal my storage ring. You guys from the Scarlet Fairy Mountain want to kill me. We are all jackals of the same tribe. Ling Xiao sneered. What a bunch of nonsense. The 4 senior brothers are stronger than you, so they should have the spoils. Not only did you not obediently hand it over to them, you even ignored them. This was treason and insubordination. Even if you were killed, it wouldn't be too much. They didn't kill you and only took your things. They already gave you a lot of face. Qi Yan said confidently, just because you're stronger than me, you think you can take my things? Ling Xiao asked with a smile. Of course. This is the righteousness of the profound world. Qi Yan nodded. Many onlookers also looked at Ling Xiao with mocking smiles on their faces. It was as if he was saying that Ling Xiao was too naive. He didn't even know the most basic rules and dared to come out and mingle in the Jianghu. Ha ha ha! Such righteousness of the profound world. From what you're saying, as long as I'm stronger than them, I can snatch their storage rings. Ling Xiao suddenly laughed. You? Why don't you take a piss and look at yourself? Don't think that you're powerful just because you killed Feng Yu with a sneak attack. In front of these 4 senior brothers, you're worthless. Qi Yan's words were not only a mockery of Ling Xiao, but also a provocation. She hoped that Zhang, Wang, Li, and Zhao would be able to kill Ling Xiao. It turns out that Miss Yan has to take a piss and look at herself every morning. If you're so poor that you can't even afford a mirror, I'll give you one. Ling Xiao sneered. You bastard. How dare you take advantage of me? Qi Yan was furious. Take advantage of you? I'm going to kill you. I didn't expect you to come to me on your own. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed with cold killing intent. He calculated that it would take about 10 minutes for Yuan Ning to arrive. This time was enough for him to kill Zhang Wang, Li Zhao, and the other 3. Of course, there was also Qi Yan and the disciples of Scarlet Fairy Mountain. Anyway, there would be chaos here later. He estimated that few people who participated in the assessment would be able to go out alive. Yuan Ning was really too strong. Even if someone really went out alive, there was no evidence that he had killed someone. He would never admit it. Such a big sect always cared about its reputation. Even if he did all kinds of dirty things behind the scenes, at least on the surface, he still needed evidence to arrest someone. Without evidence, no one could make him confess. After thinking about this, he didn't care whether someone saw it or not. Anyway, today he might as well kill to his heart's content. Junior sister Yen, do you have a grudge against this guy? Senior brother Zhang among Zhang Wang, Li Zhao, and Li Zhao asked. It's this guy who beat me in the hall of virtue and punishment and evil, and then he hid and refused to come out. Qi Yan nodded. Well, it will take Yuan Nang about 10 minutes to get here. I'll help you teach this guy a lesson. Senior brother Zhang said with a smile, his face full of flattery. Great, Senior brother Zhang, thank you. As long as you can help me kill this guy, I'll let you kiss me, Senior brother Zhang. Junior sister Yen, I'll help you too. Me too. The 4 of us will help you. These 4 guys were really good at flattery. Previously, they coveted Ling Zhao's storage ring. Now, in addition to the storage ring, they had another reason, which was to please Qi Yan. Okay, let's fight together. Let's see who can kill this guy first and get his storage ring. Senior brother Zhang suddenly said. The original cooperation instantly turned into competition. It seemed that they were fighting for the storage ring, but in fact, they were just trying to get close to her. Qi Yan, was Qi Lian's daughter. She was usually high and mighty. Anyone who touched her would tremble with fear, let alone get close to her. Now that there was such a good opportunity, who would be willing to let it go? They seemed to have completely ignored Ling Xiao, as if Ling Xiao didn't exist. Okay, let's see who's the fastest. After saying that, Senior brother Li suddenly rushed out. The other 3 scolded him for being cunning and pounced on Ling Xiao. Looking at this scene, Qi Yan, Ari's face revealed a cold smile like a scorpion's. She thought that Ling Xiao would definitely die this time. Even Sha Hai would have to think twice if the 4 of them joined forces, let alone Ling Xiao. Many people around also had a look of schadenfreude. Only the people of the Lin family sighed. No matter what, Ling Xiao was close to their Lin family. When they saw that Ling Xiao was going to die so tragically today, they were still a little sad. Lin Yang was healing himself and did not know what was going on outside. He trusted Ling Xiao very much and believed that Ling Xiao could solve all the problems. Because of this, he dared to devote himself to healing. At this time, Senior brother Li was very excited. Because he was the first to attack, he would definitely be the first to attack Ling Xiao. However, at this time, a knife wind suddenly came from behind him. Senior brother Li was startled and hurriedly dodged. When he looked back, he saw that it was Senior brother Zhang. Zhang, are you crazy? How dare you attack me? Chapter 2247. Humph, only I can kill Ling Xiao. None of you 3 can. Ling Xiao's life is mine. It's mine. Senior brother Wang and Senior brother Zhao also began to compete. It seemed that the 4 of them were about to fight. The crowd began to jeer. At this time, no one took Ling Xiao seriously. It was as if Ling Xiao was a poor little sheep who could not pose a threat to the 4 wolves. You don't have to fight. You're all going to die anyway. Suddenly, Ling Xiao's cold voice resounded. Senior brother Li, who was closest to him, suddenly felt a sharp killing intent descend upon him. He was startled and hurriedly turned his head to look. At this time, he did not expect that Ling Xiao, the little sheep, would dare to resist. He did not even make any movements. The moment he turned his head, he only saw a sword light. A resplendent sword light flashed in the gloomy ghost prison, and then he couldn't make any sound. Star flash! At that moment, the scene suddenly became dead silent. Senior brother Zhang, Senior brother Wang, and Senior brother Zhao were also stunned. They hurriedly retreated and looked at the long sword that had pierced through Senior brother Li's throat in horror. The long sword was extremely heavy. It was not sharpened, but it was still so sharp. Brotherly, Li, Senior Brotherly. After a while, the three of them came to their senses and exclaimed. Chi Yenner's snake-like smile froze in an instant. Trash! Are the three of you just going to stand by and watch him kill Senior Brotherly? She suddenly screamed. Let's fight him together. Zhang, Wang, and Zhao looked at each other and formed a united front. From the moment Ling Xiao killed Senior Brotherly, they could tell that Ling Xiao was not to be trifled with. Although they did not know what level his cultivation had reached, they could not underestimate him like before. Kill! The three of them rushed towards Ling Xiao at the same time. On Ling Xiao's face, there was still a cold smile. Raising the heavy longsword in his hand, he displayed the second style of the meteor sword technique that he had just mastered. Heavenly fire! The sword pierced into the sky. All of a sudden, several streaks of sword chi shot toward Zhang, Wang, and Zhao like a meteor shower. The three of them were shocked. They retreated almost at the same time. It was probably because Senior Brother Li's death had made them feel fear. None of them wanted to die. Therefore, at this moment, he subconsciously retreated. He wanted to save his own life and did not care about his teammates. Such a combined force was equal to 0. Ah! Just as they were retreating, they heard a blood-curdling scream. It was almost the same way. Senior Brother Zhao's throat was directly pierced through. The terrifying sword chi was rapidly tearing apart Senior Brother Zhao's body, causing him to die. This time, Senior Brother Zhang and Senior Brother Wang were really frightened. They retreated in horror until they reached Chi Yan-er's side. Impossible! How could he be so powerful? What kind of sword technique was that? It's not the sword technique of the 8 Immortal Mountain at all. Chi Yenner scratched her neck hard. She seemed to do this often when she was nervous. For martial artists at the peak of the first level of the Yin-Yang realm of hell, were easily killed by Ling Xiao. And Ling Xiao was still unscathed. Junior sister Yenner, who the hell is this kid? How could he be so strong? Why have we never heard of him? The remaining 2 people were both masters of the Purple Immortal Mountain. Although they had heard of Ling Xiao's name, they had never paid attention to it. Therefore, they did not know Ling Xiao at all. Black Immortal Mountain. Ling Xiao. Before Chi Yenner could speak, Ling Xiao first reported his name. What? You are Ling Xiao, the one who killed Xinqiang? Senior Brother Zhang and Senior Brother Wang were dumbfounded. Impossible. How could Ling Xiao be as powerful as you? You must be joking. Senior Brother Zhang shook his head and said, It doesn't matter if I'm joking or not. Didn't you two just want to take my storage ring? Didn't you want to kill me and then kiss Chi Yenner's little face? What's the matter now? Why are you retreating? Ling Xiao slowly walked forward. Every step he took caused Senior Brother Zhang and Senior Brother Wang to feel fear in their hearts. I give up. I don't want it. Senior Brother Zhang shook his head and said, Yes, I don't want it either. Senior Brother Wang also shook his head and said, What could be more important than one's life? Since they had seen how terrifying Ling Xiao was, they knew that they were absolutely no match for Ling Xiao today. Since they were no match for Ling Xiao, they could only give up. As for the onlookers, each and every one of them widened their eyes. Their eyeballs almost fell to the ground. In a moment, 2 of the 4 aggressive masters were killed, and the other 2 begged for mercy. This strange situation was simply like a dream. Hand over your storage rings, and I'll spare your lives. Ling Xiao said lightly, Storage rings. Senior Brother Zhang and Senior Brother Wang's faces instantly darkened. There were a lot of good things in their storage rings. They were unwilling to give them to Ling Xiao. Are you too stupid? He scared the 2 of you just like that? Don't forget, there are 2 of you, and you're both at the peak of level 1 hell of Yin-Yang realm. If I had your cultivation, I wouldn't be afraid of him. just when Senior Brother Zhang and Senior Brother Wang almost lost all their fighting spirit and wanted to surrender. Qi Yenner's voice suddenly sounded. Yes. Senior Brother Zhang and Senior Brother Wang looked at each other. Just now, Ling Xiao had killed Li and Zhao one by one, taking advantage of when they weren't paying attention or were shocked. If the two of them joined forces, then how could Ling Xiao possibly be a match for them? Thinking of this, the two of them, who were originally frightened, became ruthless. How dare you take our storage rings? Go to hell, boy. They were very careful this time and attacked Ling Xiao from both sides at the same time. Although Ling Xiao's sword was powerful, it could not hurt them. It just scared them. This time, they swore that they would not retreat. It turns out that the storage rings are more important than your lives. What a pity. Ling Xiao sighed and said, If you two really join forces, I may be no match for you. But can you make it happen? He stepped on the ground, gently like a ray of moonlight or a shooting star. He disappeared between the two in an instant. Oh no! The two of them had the same thought and looked behind them. No one. The sky? No one. Puff! Even Ling Xiao could not find him. How could Ling Xiao let go of this opportunity? The ground under Senior Brother Li's feet suddenly bulged and then a ray of sword light pierced out. At this time, Senior Brother Li just looked down and was pierced through from his chin to his head. Chapter 2248. At the moment of his death, Senior Brother Li suddenly realized what a terrifying monster he had provoked. You're the only one left. After killing Senior Brother Li, Ling Xiao came up from the ground. With the inheritance of the Sun God, it was easy for him to dig a hole. He looked at Senior Brother Zhang coldly and said lightly, I'll give it to you. I'll give it to you. I'll give you my storage ring. Seeing that Senior Brother Li was killed, Senior Brother Zhang's inner defense completely collapsed. He hurriedly took off his storage ring and handed it to Ling Xiao with both hands. Ling Xiao walked to his side, but did not take the storage ring. It's too late to give it to you now. You only have one chance. I hope everyone understands. After saying that, he waved the long sword in his hand and cut off Senior Brother Zhang's head. He had given this guy a chance to live. Because he had killed two people, his anger had subsided and he only wanted the storage ring. But this person did not know how to cherish it. Naturally, he would not give him another chance. Looking back, Ling Xiao stared at Qi Yenner. You witch, in fact, the one who deserves to die the most is you. If it weren't for your instigation, the two of them would not have risked their lives to fight me and would not have died. Being stared at by Ling Xiao, Qi Yenner instantly panicked. She was not a reincarnation realm martial artist and had no experience facing such a terrifying enemy. Seeing Ling Xiao's cold eyes, she felt as if she had been put under a butcher's knife and could be killed at any time. Brother, although she went a little too far, she is the daughter of the Scarlet Fairy Mountain's Mountain Master. If you kill her, you will have a hard time. An unknown martial artist, next to him, reminded him. In the ghost prison trial, killing each other is allowed. You should have killed others before, right? You should have obtained their contribution points, right? Why can't I kill her? Ling Xiao sneered and said, The Scarlet Fairy Mountain's Mountain Master has a powerful background. But so what? When I didn't offend her, she still wanted my life, didn't she? Now, I'll let her know the consequences of offending me. Ling Xiao. Back then, Mo Feiyu also did not let him go. After he destroyed the Mo family, he became much more obedient and was even locked up. Although he could bribe Luo Yunxing to deal with him, Mo Feiyu could not do it himself. So today, Ling Xiao wanted to kill Qi Yan, or to teach Qi Lian a lesson. He wanted to let Qi Lian know that he, Ling Xiao, was not someone to be bullied. Save me! You guys hurry up and stop him! Qi Yenner screamed in horror. The 19 disciples of the Scarlet Immortal Mountain stood out, trembling with fear. However, the others didn't make a move. They even left. because if they watched Qi Yan being killed without helping her, they would also be targeted by Qi Lian. Out of sight, out of mind. Only the 19 disciples of the Scarlet Immortal Mountain had no choice but to step forward. Just as well. I was planning to take your lives as well. You can go to hell with her. Seeing that there were no onlookers around, only Lin Yang was healing himself. Ling Xiao finally activated his elementary Thunderbolt combat body without hesitation. Then he pointed his long sword to the sky. The second move of the Thunderbolt Meteor Sword technique, Thunderbolt Fire, a terrifying force erupted in an instant. With the long sword in Ling Xiao's hand as the center, a fan-shaped sword qi broke through the air. These sword qi contain the astonishing power of thunder and fire, as if heavenly fire had descended. In an instant, it covered the 19 disciples and Qi Yan rumble. After a series of terrifying sounds, the ground was covered with corpses, and all of them were burned black. Suddenly, a ray of light flew out of Qi Yan, Er's body, and shot out of the ghost prison. What's that? Ling Xiao was stunned for a moment. He hurriedly withdrew his Thunderbolt combat body, cleaned up the battlefield, and carried Lin Yang to another location. Although he didn't know what that ray of light was, he knew very well that it was definitely not something good. When Ling Xiao was about to leave, outside the first floor of the ghost prison, Scarlet Fairy Mountain's master, Qi Lian, suddenly saw a ray of light shooting over. After catching it, her face instantly turned pale. "Quick! Open the first floor of the ghost prison!" She shouted loudly. The people outside couldn't see what was happening inside the ghost prison. If they wanted to spy on it, they would have to spend a lot of resources, and the sect didn't think it was worth it. Qi Lian's actions puzzled all the mountain chieftains. "What's wrong, Master Qi Lian? Did something happen?" Lin Haoyu asked in surprise. "Something happened, Tianer. Something happened, Tian." Crimson Viper only repeated this sentence and did not explain anything. The crowd could only understand that Qi Lian had put some kind of treasure on Qi Yan. Once Qi Yan was in danger, she would be notified. But Master Qi Lian, activating the peeping function requires a lot of resources. Lin Haoyu frowned and said, "This needs to be approved by the 8 immortals." "Don't bother. I'll provide all the resources. Activate it now," Qi Lian said loudly. As she spoke, she took out all the spirit stones and resources that could be used to activate the peeping function from her storage ring. "Use these first. If it's not enough, I have more." Seeing that she was so anxious and had the resources, Lin Haoyu didn't delay any further. He directly found the person in charge of the first floor of the ghost prison and activated the peeping function. The moment the function was activated, an image appeared in the sky. It was the scene in the ghost prison. "Find my daughter!" Qi Lian roared. The person in charge of the first floor of the ghost prison did as he was told. After all, he was only a deacon and didn't dare to disobey Qi Lian's orders. In the next moment, Qi Lian's face turned extremely pale, and the others were also shocked. Qi Yan was dead, and she died a very miserable death. Half of her body was charred and she had long stopped breathing. There was no possibility of her resurrection. Qi Lian almost fainted at that moment. Who the hell killed my daughter? Who is it?" Qi Lian roared. She was filled with anger and hatred. "Find that Ling Xiao." She suddenly thought of someone, because Ling Xiao had always said that he wanted to kill her daughter. The image was focused on Ling Xiao. At this moment, Ling Xiao was sitting cross-legged and cultivating. He seemed to have reacted to the peeping from the outside world, but he didn't open his eyes. It was impossible to tell that he had just fought. Moreover, Lin Yang was still healing beside him. Everyone else is dealing with Yuan Neng. But this guy is cultivating here. He's indeed a coward. Mountain leader Qi Lian can't be killed by him. The mountain leader of Purple Fairy Mountain said disdainfully, "That's right. Looking at those corpses just now, it seems that there are 19 corpses of Scarlet Fairy Mountain disciples like Yan. They were killed at the same time. With Ling Xiao's strength, do you believe that? The mountain leader of Orange Fairy Mountain also shook his head. He believed that Ling Xiao wanted to kill Qi Yan. But it was impossible for him to believe that Ling Xiao could kill so many people in one go. The other mountain leaders had the same opinion. Chapter 2249. It's not him. Qi Lian gradually calmed down. She glanced at Ling Xiao and ignored him. Find Yuan Neng. The screen focused on Yuan Neng. Yuan Neng was currently being attacked by a group of disciples from the 8 Immortal Mountain. Among them were Sha Hai, Cheng Feiying, and others. Among the martial arts that Yuan Neng used, there was a terrifying lava attack. It could make a warrior's death look very similar to Qi Yanner's. It's him. It's Yuan Neng. How can he be so strong? Qi Lian quickly identified Yuan Neng as the suspect. Someone was spying on me just now. Ling Xiao's senses were very sensitive. That spying was the result of using a large amount of resources to strengthen his soul power. He could naturally feel it. Looks like I have to be more careful in whatever I do next. I can expose some of my strength, but I can't go overboard. Otherwise, I'll be discovered. Because of what happened just now, the people outside couldn't see it, so Ling Xiao didn't care. He could kill people at will. Even if others went out to accuse him, they wouldn't have any evidence. However, it was different now. There were 7 mountain lords outside, a hall master of the good and evil hall, and a deacon of the first floor of the ghost prison. These people were all powerful. If they saw him, he wouldn't be able to deny it. But it's fine. Yuan Neng is fighting fiercely. You guys can just go over there and watch. I'll slowly improve my cultivation here. Thinking of this, Ling Xiao swallowed the beast core he just got and began his breakthrough. After entering the ghost prison this time, he successfully condensed the intermediate thunder and lava battle body. He wasn't far from breaking through. The beast core of this floor of hell would be his final help. As long as he broke through to the late stage, he would be able to fight Yuan Neng. Feeling the energy entering his body, Ling Xiao smiled contentedly. After receiving the inheritance of the sun god, his digestion of beast cores had reached 90%. It was much more efficient than any other warrior. This demonic beast crystal core allowed him to easily step into the realm he wanted to step into, the late stage of hell, the first level of Yin-Yang realm. He could feel that his overall strength had increased by several times, and his combat strength had soared. If they had encountered the Yellow Sea before, they would have had to waste some time. However, if he were to encounter Sha Hai now, he would be able to kill him in an instant. His true opponent was no longer the sea of sand, but the terrifying origin energy. Yuan Neng's current cultivation was at the pinnacle of the 2nd level of hell in Yin-Yang realm. His cultivation was much higher than what he had expected. What was even more frightening was that although the origin energy did not form the lava combat body, it still obtained the terrifying power of lava. During the attack, any enemy that came into contact with him would basically be instantly killed and burned to a crisp. It was simply too terrifying. A breakthrough in cultivation. Ling Xiao opened his eyes and looked in the direction of the origin energy. With the existence of the Taiji Eye, even if the distance was very far, he could still see clearly. Even if he had a breakthrough in his cultivation, he still had to find the best opportunity to kill Yuan Neng. Not now. Therefore, he had to wait. At the same time, the people outside were also spying on Yuan Neng. Impossible. How can Yuan Neng's cultivation be so strong? If that's the case, these children are definitely no match for him. He must have killed Yan. Crimson Viper roared angrily. Deacon of the 1st level of Ghost Prison, what's going on? Reporting to Mountain Lord Crimson Viper, I don't know why this happened either. Perhaps Yuan Neng had some way to hide his cultivation and fooled us all. The deacon of the 1st level of Ghost Prison was also trembling at this moment. not knowing what to do. He was definitely responsible for Qi Yan, Ari's death, and it was a responsibility that could not be shirked. This was really troublesome. Stop talking nonsense. What should we do now? With Yuan Ning's strength, it's possible that he could kill all of those little guys. Let's stop the trial immediately. Crimson Viper roared. She had already lost her daughter, and she did not want her outstanding disciples to die in there as well. That's right. Stop the trial immediately. This is not what we expected. The Mountain Lord of Orange Fairy Mountain also said loudly. After all, Cheng Feiying was still inside, and she was facing Yuan Neng at this moment. He was also anxious. The other mountain lords also agreed with this approach. Even Lin Haoyu had the same idea. Since things had gone beyond their expectations, they could not continue. It was already good enough that they could save those people. However, when the deacon of the first level of Ghost Prison went to open the door of the first level, his expression changed drastically. Reporting to the Mountain Lords and the Outer Hall Master, something has happened. Someone has sealed the space inside. What? How can we open it? Lin Haoyu said anxiously. Those people inside were the genius disciples of the lower 8 Immortal Mountain. Although their current cultivation was not high, they had a very bright future. If they all died like this, it would really be incomparably painful. There's no other way. Unless someone kills Yuan Ning inside, this situation can't be solved. The deacon of the first level of Ghost Prison shook his head and said, No, we can't just wait like this. Immediately send someone to the 8 Immortal Mountain for help. Someone will be able to solve this problem. Crimson Viper said loudly. I'll go. Lin Ruoxian's cousin Lin Yang and her highly regarded Ling Xiao were both inside. Moreover, she saw Ling Xiao protecting her injured cousin. Based on this point alone, she could not let Ling Xiao die inside. So she stepped forward. Go and come back quickly. Lin Haoyu nodded. Yes. Lin Ruoxian flew into the air. The others stared nervously at the scene in the void. Every time a disciple died, their hearts would ache. At this time, except for Ling Xiao and Lin Yang, the rest of the survivors had already surrounded Yuan Ning. Although they said they were surrounded, there was no fear on Yuan Ning's face. Instead, there was coldness and mockery. It was as if the people in front of him were not here to kill him, but to die. It had to be said that the strength of this group of disciples was very strong. There were a total of 20 martial artists at the peak of the first level of the Yin-Yang realm. This did not include Sha Hai and Cheng Feiying. These two people were more special. Although their cultivation was the same as the others, their strength was obviously higher. This was related to the quantity and quality of the yin-yang energy. It was also related to the martial artist's cultivation before and after reincarnation. In short, these two people were the cream of the crop. Originally, Luo Yunqing was among them, but he was killed by Ling Xiao. Because the two of them were powerful enough, they became the backbone of everyone. Chapter 2250. Cheng Feiying was also very confident and arrogant, but she had no intention of becoming famous. She seemed to be very cold to everyone. She only cared about strength and did not care about reputation. As expected of Sha Hai and Cheng Feiying, these two children have always been favored by everyone. Now that they are in danger, they have become everyone's backbone. Although Qi Lian was heartbroken by her daughter's tragic death, she was also somewhat proud of Sha Hai's outstanding performance. No matter what, Sha Hai was her disciple and a member of Scarlet Fairy Mountain. The Mountain Lord of Scarlet Fairy Mountain was naturally very happy. His granddaughter Cheng Feiying's outstanding performance would be extremely beneficial to her future development. She might even be promoted to the upper 8 Immortal Mountain soon. At that time, he might also be able to benefit from his granddaughter. The others also performed well. Although their strength is uneven, at least they dared to face that scoundrel, Yuan Ning. But what about that Ling Xiao? He actually hid so far away to cultivate. That guy is a complete coward. The Mountain Lord of Purple Fairy Mountain said disdainfully. Although Ling Xiao had saved Lin Yang, he was not grateful at all. It seemed that this guy had a close relationship with the Shen family or the Zhou family. Otherwise, he would not be like this. Lin Haoyu did not say a word. This was because he could not speak up for Ling Xiao. Judging from the current situation, Ling Xiao was really not presentable. He really did not know what to say. At this moment, whether it was inside or outside the ghost prison, no one took Ling Xiao seriously. They also never thought that Ling Xiao would become the true savior of this ghost prison crisis. Ling Xiao did not think so for the time being. He just consolidated his cultivation while observing the situation of the battle. At the same time, he created a few array refining stones. He did not have any advantage in terms of strength against Yuan Ning. In that case, the array formation would become his greatest advantage. He would be a fool not to use them. Ha 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 ha. With so many people dying with me, I'll be satisfied even if I die. Yuan Ning looked at the hundreds of Yin-Yang Realm first-level martial artists around him. The blood-red light in his eyes became even more ferocious. The biting, cold-killing intent on his body became even more terrifying. Behind him, the 18 arms were all in high spirits, as if they were ready to kill the enemy at any time. Yuan Ning, don't be complacent. There are hundreds of us here. It's more than enough to kill you. Sha Hai looked at Yuan Ning and said loudly. He knew that his brother had reached some kind of agreement with Yuan Ning. Anyway, Yuan Ning would not kill him. In this way, he could use this opportunity to kill Yuan Ning. Therefore, even though he could feel the power of the origin energy, he did not intend to retreat. Desert Sea, don't be careless. This fellow seems much stronger than we imagined. Cheng Feiying reminded. Are you scared? If you're scared, you can leave as soon as possible. No one is forcing you to stay and face the elemental energy. Sha Hai said disdainfully. This is simply unreasonable. Although Cheng Feiying couldn't see the cultivation level of the origin energy, she could feel how terrifying it was. She reminded Sha Hai not because she was concerned about Sha Hai, but because among all the warriors here, only Sha Hai was slightly stronger than her. If the two of them worked together, they might be able to turn the situation around. However, Sha Hai was simply an idiot. Not only did he not listen to her advice, but he even mocked her. He was really unreasonable to the extreme. Why are you talking nonsense? Yuan Ning Dai, I'll take your life alone. In this world, there were always some people who were overconfident. A warrior who was also at the pinnacle of the first level of the Yin-Yang realm thought that he had the strength to fight Yuan Ning alone. Therefore, he bypassed Sha Hai and Cheng Feiying and charged toward Yuan Ning. The battle instantly began again. This person was only using a beginner jade martial technique, but he was already proficient in it. As long as he used it properly, his attack would not be weak. He would have no problem dealing with others. However, the troublesome thing was that his attack was aimed at Yuan Ning. He was destined to die. Yuan Ning just stood there and looked at the person coldly. When the person's fist was only a foot away from him, he suddenly stretched out his arm. Terrifying lava energy instantly erupted. The poor first transition warrior was considered one of the strongest people in the group after Sha Hai and Cheng Feiying. In the end, he was burned to a crisp with just one move. He died, tragically on the spot. He's too impulsive. Against this monster, we might not even be able to work together. He actually charged forward alone. Lin Haoyu sighed, feeling a little emotional. The mountain master of Green Immortal Mountain was obviously very distressed. This warrior was a genius disciple of Green Immortal Mountain. Impossible. It's really impossible. These children are definitely not Yuan Ning's match. I only hope that they won't be impulsive. If everyone works together to form a defense, they might be able to buy some time. As long as the people from 8 Immortal Mountain arrive, everything will be fine. Qi Lian shook her head, almost despairing. From the collision, just now, she could analyze Yuan Ning's terrifying strength. The others were simply no match for this guy. Death was the only outcome of fighting with elemental ability. At this moment, Lin Ruoxian returned. "How is it? Where is he?" Qi Lian hurriedly asked. She did not see anyone following Lin Ruoxian. Lin Ruoxian's expression did not look good. She sighed and said, "The person in charge of 8 immortal mountains said that if they can't even solve such a small matter, there's no need for 8 immortal mountain to exist." What a bastard. I'll go and reason with them." Lin Haoyu suddenly slammed the table and stood up. If the people from 8 immortal mountain did not come, it meant that these children were dead meat. How could he not be angry? "Forget it, Hall Master Lin. Don't you know the people from 8 immortal mountain? It's useless even if you go." The mountain master of Orange Immortal Mountain's expression was extremely ugly. He was also in extreme despair. "Heavens, if anyone can save my good granddaughter, I'll definitely marry her to him. If the other party is a girl, I'll give her endless spirit stones to spend, and I'll adopt her as my daughter." Of course, he made such a sigh out of despair. In fact, even he did not believe that anyone could save those children. Yuan Neng was too powerful, so powerful that it made those children despair. The mountain masters all sighed and stared blankly at the scene in the sky. They could no longer interfere with this trial that had completely gone out of control. What happened next was up to the heavens, seeing such a powerful martial artist being killed in the ghost prison. Everyone instantly fell into a state of panic. Among these people, there were only about 20 martial artists who had reincarnated. Most of them were ordinary martial artists. They had no combat experience and were just ordinary children. Now that they were faced with such a terrifying situation, they were really panicking. "Don't be afraid. There's only one Yuan Ning. As long as we don't panic and work together, we can definitely deal with him." Chapter 2251. Although Cheng Feiying was usually cold and didn't seem to like anyone, she felt that she had to stand up in this situation. Otherwise, it would all be over. Not only would she die, but everyone else would also die. Hearing this, Ling Xiao could not help but smile. Cheng Feiying's actions were beneficial to him. If Yuan Ning could kill these people without being injured, then he would definitely not be able to win. He had to fulfill one condition to win. Yuan Ning would be injured and unable to use his full strength. Cheng Feiying's words made everyone come to a realization. If they could not fight, then they would probably die. They might as well go all out. Therefore, under the leadership of Sha Hai and Cheng Feiying, hundreds of dazzling attacks were shot at Yuan Ning almost simultaneously. With so many people attacking at the same time, Ling Xiao knew that he would not be able to block them. He could only run. However, Yuan Ning did not run. He snorted coldly and said disdainfully, "A bunch of kids. You don't even know the situation you're in." As soon as he finished speaking, an arm behind his back suddenly released a terrifying sword light. This sword light was extremely terrifying. It was 4 or 5 meters thick and directly slashed into the crowd. This sword light directly tore apart a large number of attacks that were rushing at him and flew straight into the crowd. Boom! A terrifying explosion was heard. It was just a single sword strike, but more than 10 people had died. Although the people who died were all martial artists at the early stage of the first level of hell, it was enough to make the experts watching the battle outside feel distressed. No, we can't just watch. Let's work together and break the door of the first level of the ghost prison. Lin Haoyu stood up and suggested, "It's useless, Hall Master Lin. That looks like a door, but it actually leads to a small world. After they enter, they are isolated from our world. Originally, if we want to open it, we only need to go through the set mechanism. However, someone has tampered with it. We can't do anything outside." The deacon of the first level of the ghost prison shook his head. "We still have to try." Seeing the tragic deaths of the disciples of the 8 Immortal Mountain, as the Hall Master of the Hall of Rewards the good and punishes the evil. Lin Haoyu could not sit still. The others also went to help. However, after the door was blasted open, the result was truly despairing. It was exactly as the deacon from the first floor of the ghost prison had said. With their cultivation, they were unable to tear open such a large space. Therefore, there was nothing he could do. Just as they were in despair, a subtle change had taken place in the battle. Because the first attack failed and many people died, this caused the disciples of the 8 Immortals Mountain to be afraid. They were no longer willing to listen to Cheng Feiying's words and fled into the distance. I might as well hide until the time is up and then go out. These were the thoughts of the disciples who had escaped. Seeing this scene, the people outside became even more anxious. Is there any way to transmit our voices inside? Lin Haoyu asked the deacon on the first floor of Ghost Prison. That can be done. Okay, help me. We can't let them panic. At this time, they can only save themselves. We have to make them understand that they can only live if they kill Yuan Neng. Lin Haoyu said. Yes. Inside the ghost prison, the battle was still ongoing. Ling Xiao also continued to observe. In fact, he also wanted to wait until the trial was over. If they couldn't defeat Yuan Neng, it wouldn't be too late to wait until the trial was over before going out. However, at this moment, a voice sounded in the ghost prison. This voice cruelly told them the current situation they were in. Although it said a lot, it boiled down to one sentence. You can only live if you kill Yuan Neng. Hey, are you kidding me? It seems that I can't continue to watch the show. Ling Xiao finally stood up. His cultivation had stabilized, and he had also made several formation refining stones. In fact, he could participate in the battle at any time. The reason why he didn't do so was because he didn't think it was necessary. Now, however, he had to replan. Perhaps he had to make a move now, because now he still had the help of Sha Hai, Cheng Feiying, and other martial artists. In this way, defeating Yuan Neng was still possible. However, if he lost the help of these people, that might not necessarily be the case. Thinking of this, he looked at Lin Yang and said, "How's your recovery?" "Boss, don't worry about me. I'll be fully recovered in a few minutes. Then I'll go and help you." Lin Yang replied, "Okay, then I'll go first. It seems that I can only save myself today. This Yuan Neng wants to kill all the examinees. That won't do. I don't want to die yet." After saying that, Ling Xiao disappeared into the darkness. Lin Yang also sped up his recovery. On the other side, the examinees who had escaped finally returned, because they had no other choice. Running away was a dead end. Staying was also a dead end, so they might as well stay. Perhaps they could really kill Yuan Neng. Ha 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 ha. So what if you know the secret? You guys are still no match for me. To be honest, if it weren't for the fact that I want to absorb energy from your bodies, I would definitely ask others to help. Yuan Neng's words reminded everyone. This was the ghost prison. The monsters and prisoners in the ghost prison were all in a state of release. If those guys really joined forces with Yuan Neng, they would really have no hope. Fortunately, Yuan Neng seemed to be very confident and had no intention of asking those people for help. If that was the case, they might still have a chance. Little girl, you seem to have the ability to fan the flames. You're pretty strong too. Then I'll use you as a side dish to go with wine. Yuan Neng's scarlet eyes suddenly stared at Cheng Feiying. This scene made the Orange Fairy Mountain's mountain master tremble. He felt even more despair in his heart. He didn't even dare to open his eyes to look. Although Cheng Feiying was strong, she couldn't possibly resist Yuan Neng. "Die, little girl!" Yuan Neng roared. This time, a sharp arrow pierced through the air and completely locked onto Cheng Feiying. If it were an ordinary martial artist facing such a sharp arrow and its terrifying killing intent, they would have panicked. However, Cheng Feiying only broke out in a cold sweat. Then she quickly reacted. A long flute carved out of white jade suddenly appeared in her hand. The sound of the flute rang out. The blade aura that was originally heading straight for her was slightly deflected. It blasted into the ground nearby. A huge crater appeared in the ground. At this moment, Cheng Feiying stood there like a fairy, coldly staring at Yuan Ning. This was the first time someone had been able to avoid Yuan Ning's attack. Moreover, it was done with relative ease. She's actually using a long flute as a weapon. It seems that this Cheng Feiying has some skills. Chapter 2252. Ling Xiao rarely praised others, but Cheng Feiying had done a good job just now. He was currently setting up a formation around them and did not participate in the battle. It would be best for these people to help him block Yuan Ning for now. It's a pity. Cheng Feiying's flute, coupled with her special martial soul, could have been considered invincible among the martial artists on the first level of the Yin-Yang Mirror. However, she was no match for Yuan Ning. If there is no miracle, I'm afraid she's doomed. Even though the mountain master of the Purple Fairy Mountainside, he was secretly pleased. Cheng Feiying was the daughter of the Mountain Lord of Orange Fairy Mountain, and he had always been at odds with the Mountain Lord. Therefore, he was happy that something had happened to Cheng Feiying. However, on second thought, if Cheng Feiying died, the disciples of his Purple Fairy Mountain would probably die as well. His initial joy completely vanished. Feiying is indeed powerful, but compared to Shahai, there is still a certain gap. Shahai has the martial soul of the Sand Clan and the bloodline of the nobility. He was born a genius. Moreover, after entering the reincarnation cycle, he returned to the Sand Clan. This is equivalent to cultivating the same technique twice. Not only is he familiar with it, but he is also very experienced. If there is any pity, it is Shahai who is unfortunate. He could have become one of the most outstanding disciples of the Eight Immortal Mountain. Qi Lian sighed. Even in such a critical situation, these people still wanted to argue about who was better. It was really a little speechless. What is the point of arguing? If there is no miracle, neither of them will live. What is the point of arguing about who is better? Lin Haoyu said mournfully. When he said that, everyone fell silent. They wanted to help, but they could not. All they could do was watch the show and wait for the judgment of fate. Yes, they were all going to die. What was the point of arguing about who was better? Look, Yuan Ning is going crazy. Everyone heard a voice. No matter who it was, they all looked toward the screen. At that moment, Yuan Ning moved in front of Cheng Feiying. Little girl, you have some skills. Unfortunately, you can't escape death. You will become my blood delicacy. Yuan Ning opened his mouth, revealing two strange fangs. Seeing this scene, Ling Xiao could not help but think of the Devil's Shadow Sect. Speaking of the characteristics of the Devil's Shadow Sect, the skull tattoo on his arm and the demonic seed in his body were two. Of course, there were also those terrifying fangs in his mouth. Although they couldn't be seen normally, they would suddenly grow when he sucked blood. No wonder this fellow can become stronger even in the ghost prison. With the demonic blood-sucking technique, he doesn't need any cultivation resources at all. He only needs to suck the blood of those demonic beasts and martial artists. Today, I'm afraid he's going to treat all the candidates as his own nourishment. When Ling Xiao saw this, a cold light flashed in his eyes, and his figure finally disappeared again. Now that the formation had been set up, the next step was to deal with the elemental energy. Seeing those sharp fangs, Cheng Feiying was clearly startled. She quickly played the flute, and a series of notes wrapped around her body, forming layers of barriers. At this moment, she couldn't attack at all. Just protecting herself from death was already very difficult. The power of origin energy was beyond everyone's expectations. Of course, she was also very surprised. It's useless, little girl. Origin energy revealed a ferocious expression. He didn't care about the layers of barriers at all. With one punch, the notes exploded. They couldn't stop origin energy for even a moment. Protect Miss Feiying. Although there weren't as many disciples as Scarlet Fairy Mountain, they all knew very well what Ching Feiying meant. Not only was she the granddaughter of Orange Fairy Mountain's Mountain Master, but she was also the key to their victory in this battle. Therefore, dozens of people rushed out at the same time, using their strongest attacks to interfere with Origin Energy. They wanted to stop Origin Energy from attacking Ching Feiying. When the others saw this, they all helped. Only Shanghai looked on coldly. It was obvious that he wanted to use Origin Energy to kill all his competitors. Until now, he still believed that Origin Energy was someone the Shaw family had bribed. Origin Energy definitely wouldn't kill him. Therefore, he didn't need to do anything. The battle in the crowd was very chaotic. No one noticed Shanghai's performance. Shanghai knew how to act anyway. He pretended to release an attack, but he didn't use his full strength. It was just for show. Boom! Origin Energy was furious. Hundreds of people attacking him at the same time was still a threat to him. Therefore, he gave up on Ching Feiying. He opened his mouth and spat out a ball of thick magma, burning dozens of people to death in an instant. Most of them were disciples of Orange Fairy Mountain. Seeing this scene, Orange Fairy Mountain's Mountain Master wanted to cry. Yuan Neng, I'll tear him to pieces. Orange Fairy Mountain's Mountain Master gritted his teeth. He couldn't help the people inside now, but he would definitely avenge these people in the future. Ching Feiying didn't waste the opportunity that so many people had created for her. Not only did she avoid Origin Energy's attack, but she also used a mid-jade grade martial arts technique. The notes condensed, and an ice bird carved out of ice crashed into Origin Energy's head. Boom! Crack! An eerie chill was released above Origin Energy's head. Even a martial artist of Origin Energy's level didn't dare to let Ching Feiying or Shanghai attack as they pleased. Moreover, Ching Feiying's attack was extremely powerful. At that moment, Origin Energy felt like he was about to lose consciousness. He held his head and frantically retreated. He only stopped after retreating a few hundred meters. He kept roaring like a wild beast. Clearly, this attack had caused him a lot of damage. Taking advantage of this opportunity, the others also attacked. All kinds of attacks landed on Origin Energy's body, forcing him to retreat. There's hope! Orange Fairy Mountain's Mountain Master suddenly became excited. However, Lin Haoyu's brows were tightly knitted together. Although these attacks looked lively, there weren't many that were actually effective. He was very confused. Shanghai could have used this opportunity to deal with Origin Energy and deal more damage to him. However, Shanghai didn't do that. What's wrong with Shanghai? If he attacked, even if he couldn't defeat Origin Energy, he could have injured Origin Energy. The Mountain Master of the Green Immortal Mountain asked directly. Maybe he has his own ideas. That was the only explanation Crimson Viper could come up with. The scene was right there, and everyone could see it. She couldn't make up nonsense out of nothing. Damn it! Damn it! Origin Energy went crazy. This was the first time he had been injured in the battle. Moreover, it was by a girl. He simply couldn't bear it. He stretched out all 18 arms and suddenly released a terrifying attack. It blasted into the crowd and slaughtered dozens of people. This instantly dampened the martial artists' enthusiasm for the battle. Many people began to retreat. Ching Feiying was exposed to Origin Energy. Die, you stupid girl! Chapter 2253. Ching Feiying knew that Yuan Neng was no match for her, so she turned around and fled. Yuan Neng ignored the other martial artists and chased after Ching Feiying. Although Ching Feiying was strong and fast, how could she escape from Yuan Neng? Seeing that Yuan Neng was about to catch up, Ching Feiying suddenly stopped. She turned around and covered herself with thick ice crystals. That's the Frost Battle Body. I didn't expect Feiying to have condensed the elementary Frost Battle Body. If that's the case, Shanghai won't be her match. She's definitely invincible among these examinees. The Orange Fairy Mountain's Mountain Master said excitedly, Shanghai has also condensed the elementary lightning battle body. There's nothing strange about that. Crimson Viper said unhappily. Then why isn't he attacking? Is he waiting for Fang to die? The Orange Fairy Mountain's Mountain Master said angrily. Crimson Viper opened her mouth, but said nothing. No matter how she looked at it, Shanghai had no intention of attacking. After Cheng Fang released the Frost Battle Body, Yuan Ning's speed slowed down. Taking advantage of this opportunity, Cheng Fang put some distance between herself and Yuan Ning, but it was useless. Even with the elementary Frost Battle Body, the gap between Cheng Fang and Yuan Ning was still huge. Shanghai, why aren't you attacking? Cheng Fang shouted anxiously. Yuan Ning only wanted to kill her now. If the others attacked, they would definitely be able to damage Yuan Ning. But the troublesome thing was that many martial artists with lower cultivation were frightened. Shanghai, on the other hand, didn't want to save Cheng Fang. He even sneered and said, I can help you, but you have to promise to marry me after we get out. Shanghai had no idea that his actions were being watched by the people outside. How could he say such shameless words? For a moment, the Orange Fairy Mountain's Mountain Master just wanted to strangle this guy. Crimson Viper lowered her head and said nothing. She was too ashamed to defend Shanghai. You're shameless. Cheng Fang's pretty face reddened slightly, and then she quickly became resolute. You idiot! Although the elders outside can't see what's going on inside, if I die, someone will definitely say that you didn't save me. How dare they? Shanghai sneered. I am a disciple of the Sand Clan. Later, I will kill all the disciples of the Orange Celestial Mountain and have them testify for me. You overestimated yourself and insisted on fighting Yuan Ning alone. That's why you were killed. It has nothing to do with me. Ha! This guy laughed very arrogantly. However, what he did not know was that all of this was being witnessed by the people outside. Qi Lian and the Mountain Master of the Scarlet Fairy Mountain were so ashamed that they were unable to show their faces. The Orange Immortal Mountain's Mountain Master was extremely furious. The other mountain chieftains, as well as Lin Haoyu, were furious. Just because you're from the Sha family, you can be so lawless. What a bastard. Lin Haoyu said furiously, If he can live, I'll definitely make him die a horrible death. Even the Sand Race can't stop them. I'm afraid that Yuan Ning has already been bribed by the Sand Race. Lin Ruoxian said coldly, Desert Cloud told me that they bribed Yuan Ning. No wonder that kid is so fearless. After all this time, Yuan Ning won't do anything to him at all. Damn that guy. When the mountain chieftains heard this, they were even more furious. Deacon Lin, you can't just say things like that. Qi Lian looked at Lin Ruoxian and said, Of course I know that, but this is what Desert Cloud told me personally. A few days ago, Shanghai's brother, Sha Jiao, went to the first floor of the ghost prison. That deacon should know. Lin Ruoxian said calmly. He did go there and even saw Yuan Ning, but I really don't know what he did. The deacon on the first floor of the ghost prison smiled bitterly. The truth is very clear now. The accident in this trial was caused by the Sand Race. Even if they are one of the 8 great ancient clans, they have to explain themselves. Lin Haoyu roared. That's right. The mountain chieftains all agreed. This time, the Sha family had angered everyone. This is bad. Fei Ying is in danger. She has reached her limit. The Orange Fairy Mountain chieftain stared at Cheng Fei. He had hoped for a miracle, but reality was cruel. At this moment, Cheng Fei-Ying's right hand was covered by Yuan Ning's magma power. It seemed impossible for her to dodge. Even if she didn't die from this attack, she would definitely be seriously injured. It seems that I'm going to die too. I can't accept this. Cheng Fei-Ying's eyes were filled with despair and unwillingness. She had come this far in order to enter the cycle of reincarnation. But now, she had to face the crisis of death. Did she regret it? Not to that extent. For the sake of martial arts, reincarnating was a path she had to take. But she really couldn't accept this. If she had a good helper, she might not have died today. This Yuan Neng might have been locked in the ghost prison for a long time. In fact, his combat ability had been greatly weakened. It wasn't impossible to deal with him. Feiying, the Orange Fairy Mountain chieftain, cried out in pain. The others also lowered their heads. Qing Feiying would die, unless a miracle happened. Thunderbolt Meteor Sword Art, Thunderbolt Fall. Suddenly, a martial artist covered in lightning appeared on the screen. He held a heavy long sword in his hand and descended from the sky like a thunder god bathed in lightning. Is that the thunder god? At that moment, Qing Feiying seemed to see an illusion. I didn't expect that I, Qing Feiying, would hallucinate because of the fear of death. Who is that? Outside, Lin Haoyu exclaimed. He suddenly felt touched like never before. It was so touching that even an old man like him couldn't help but cry. The Thunder God! No, that's the lightning battle body. Could it be Shanghai? Has Shanghai made a move? Crimson Lotus said loudly, I told you Shanghai wouldn't just stand by and watch. He'll definitely make a move. I'm afraid you'll be disappointed. Mountain Chieftain Crimson Lotus. That's not Shanghai, it's Ling Xiao. Lin Ruoxian's face was flushed with excitement. Even as a disciple of the Upper Eight Immortals, she had never worshipped anyone from the Upper Eight Immortals Mountain. But at this moment she was really excited. She felt her whole body tremble. She was extremely happy. Impossible. How could it be Ling Xiao? How could it be him? Crimson Lotus refused to believe that this was possible. How could Ling Xiao, that useless coward, appear here? Like a hero, like a god descending from the heavens. Everyone stared at the man in the sky. They wanted to see who he was. The sword fell. It slashed directly at Yuanning's neck. At this moment, Yuanning was wholeheartedly focused on killing Qing Feiying. He didn't expect someone to suddenly attack him from behind. A wound of nearly 3 inches appeared on his neck. Even his bones were exposed. The terrifying power of lightning ran through his body, causing Yuanning to flee in panic. He retreated several hundred meters before stopping. He stared at the person who dared to sneak attack him. Chapter 2254. It was impossible for Yuan Neng to forget Ling Xiao, because Ling Xiao was one of his test subjects. He thought that this guy was already dead, but he didn't expect him to suddenly appear here. It's really him. Qi Lian's face was full of shock, but he couldn't believe it. How did this kid become so strong all of a sudden? Where did he get so many thunder elemental jades to cultivate the thunder battle body? He must have stolen them from Scarlet Deity Mountain. Qi Lian suddenly shouted, You've misunderstood, Mountain Lord Qi Lian. I gave him those thunder elemental jades. Lin Haoyu said indifferently, I knew this kid was a promising talent, so I gave him dozens of thunder elemental jades. I didn't say it because I didn't want to cause unnecessary trouble. Don't worry, I bought those thunder elemental jades from the Heavenly Dragon Trading Company, not for the good and evil hull. Lin Haoyu knew very well that the thunder elemental jades stolen from Scarlet Deity Mountain were probably stolen by Ling Xiao. But judging from Ling Xiao's performance today, he had to protect this kid. This kid had a bright future. It doesn't matter if he stole it or not. As long as he can save the disciples of 8 Deity Mountain, he has done a good deed. Orange Deity Mountain, Lord said loudly. He had originally looked down on Ling Xiao, but this time, Ling Xiao had stepped in to save his granddaughter, Qing Feiying. He was truly grateful. No matter what the final result was, Qing Feiying was still alive. That was something he was grateful for. That's right. This kid is much stronger than Shanghai. He also has the thunder battle body, but he didn't retreat. He made a move at the critical moment. I guess Yuan Neng was seriously injured. Green Deity Mountain Lord said. Apart from Scarlet Deity Mountain Lord Qi Lian and Purple Deity Mountain Lord, The other mountain lords present had completely changed their views of Ling Xiao. Qi Lian didn't say anything else. It was useless to say anything in this situation. In the eyes of these people, Ling Xiao was a hero. Lin Ruoxian's beautiful eyes looked around excitedly. However, Desert Cloud and Zhou Tong, who were also in the crowd, had ugly expressions on their faces. As a member of the Xia family, Desert Cloud wanted to wait for Ling Xiao to make a fool of himself and then die in Yuan Ning's hands. Now, the one being scolded for being shameless was not Ling Xiao, but their Xia family's young master, Xia Hai. The reason for Zhou Tong's displeasure was simple. He was looking forward to Ling Xiao dying in the ghost prison. At the very least, he wanted him to die in a pathetic manner. But what about now? A guy from a remote town had actually become a hero in the eyes of all the mountain chieftains? What the hell? Inside the ghost prison, Cheng Feiying looked at Ling Xiao with shock and joy. She was shocked that she wasn't dreaming. Someone had really come to save her. And this person was actually the Ling Xiao that she had completely ignored before. This was really too dreamy, too shocking. Of course, he was happy because he didn't have to die, because this group of people might really be able to defeat Yuan Ning. Thank you. Cheng Feiying looked at Ling Xiao and thanked him. No need. This Yuan Ning has done a lot of evil. Everyone has the right to punish him. I just did what I was supposed to do. Ling Xiao shook his head and said, among the crowd, the disciples of Xia Hai and Scarlet Fairy Mountain wanted to kill Ling Xiao, but they weren't stupid in the current situation. Let that kid fight with Yuan Ning. If he's killed, it'll save us a lot of trouble. If he's lucky enough to defeat Yuan Ning, he'll probably be exhausted. Then we'll make a move and kill him. Xia Hai lowered his voice and instructed the people of Scarlet Fairy Mountain. Yes. These people were basically his loyal lackeys. Naturally, they would listen to him. Not only did they not move forward, but they also retreated to avoid Yuan Ning's attack range. This was because they believed that although Yuan Ning was injured by the attack just now, it was impossible for him to be seriously injured. Ling Xiao already knew what these people were thinking before he made his move. To be honest, if it weren't for the fact that he knew there were people watching from outside, he would have already killed Xia Hai and those people. But now he needed a reason, a legitimate reason. He looked at Yuan Ning and said coldly, Demon, you wanted to harm me, but instead, you helped me condense the Thunder battle body. You probably didn't expect this. Today, I'll completely end your plan that you've been planning for more than 10 years. Do you still think you can escape? Not a chance. You think you can? Yuan Ning had an arm that was holding an embroidery needle. At this moment, the embroidery needle was constantly moving behind him. After a while, his wound was completely closed. Even so, the power of thunder and lightning that Ling Xiao had injected into his body was still causing trouble. Although it wouldn't kill him, it made him feel very uncomfortable. Although he said it lightly, in reality, he really hated and feared Ling Xiao. This Ling Xiao in front of him was his biggest opponent and the most troublesome enemy. Of course I can't do it alone. Don't you have so many helpers here? Ling Xiao pointed at the disciples of the lower 8 immortals beside him and said loudly, If you want to live, listen to my command. Yuan Ning will definitely die today. If you want to die, continue to be afraid. Yuan Ning is a demon who kills without batting an eyelid. If he doesn't die, we'll all die. Listen to him. Cheng Feiying stepped forward and led the remaining dozens of martial artists from Orange Immortal Mountain. From the moment Ling Xiao made his move, she had already determined that Ling Xiao would be the key to defeating Yuan Ning this time. Green Immortal Mountain will also join. Yellow Immortal Mountain will also join. Green Immortal Mountain will also join. Blue Immortal Mountain will also join. With Cheng Feiying joining, many people were naturally motivated. However, there were still some people who didn't care about Ling Xiao. Humph, you bunch of trash. You actually want to listen to the command of a trash from Black Immortal Mountain. Shame on you. Red Immortal Mountain will definitely not join. Shanghai led the people from Red Immortal Mountain and said loudly, Purple Immortal Mountain won't join either. It's better to trust ourselves than to give our lives to trash from Black Immortal Mountain. As a result, 5 out of the 7 mountains joined Ling Xiao's joint plan to fight the enemy, while Red Immortal Mountain and Purple Immortal Mountain chose to watch from the sidelines. If you don't join, you won't get the spoils when we kill Yuan Neng later. The leading disciple of Green Immortal Mountain said. Yes, this was unanimously agreed upon. Ling Xiao thought so too. There was no such thing as a free lunch in this world. It was too shameless to just watch from the sidelines and get a share of the spoils in the end. Shanghai didn't say anything, and neither did the people from Purple Immortal Mountain. They all seemed to want to take advantage of the situation. Everyone, listen up. It doesn't matter if they agree or not. They won't be able to get the spoils. Ling Xiao sneered and said, Let's just focus on dealing with Yuan Neng now. While they were talking, Yuan Neng was also speeding up his recovery. Ling Xiao wasn't worried about Yuan Neng's recovery. Instead, he hoped to buy some time. This was because his lightning power had already entered Yuan Neng's body and was hiding. The longer it took, the more serious the damage to Yuan Neng's body would be. Chapter 2255. All right, we'll listen to you. What do you think we should do? Qing Feiying asked. You and I will face Yuan Neng directly. What they need to do is very simple. They need to aim their strongest attacks at the ground and blast it. Ling Xiao replied, What do you mean? Qing Feiying did not understand. The others did not understand either. Ling Xiao wanted to explain, but Yuan Neng did not give them a chance and directly charged over. Kid, since you're alive, you should live. You really shouldn't have provoked me. Now I'll start with you. Yuan Neng roared and used all his attacks on Ling Xiao. There's no time to explain. Do as I say. After Ling Xiao finished speaking, he soared into the air and then said to Qing Feiying, When I run away, you attack. That guy can't catch up to me. After attacking, if he turns around, you immediately run away and I'll attack. He's alone and he's not very fast. Let's play him to death. All right. Qing Feiying nodded and began to condense her strongest attack. Behind her, a long flute that looked like an ice sculpture appeared, exuding a cold aura. That should be her martial soul, a very special martial soul. Then, she put the flute in her hand to her mouth and blew it. At this time, Yuan Neng had already pounced on Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao used the Moonstep Meteor Step, combined with the power of thunder and lightning. His speed was so fast that only a lightning afterimage was left. When Yuan Neng was about to catch him, he easily dodged. His speed is too fast. Our eyes can't even keep up. Why don't we do as that kid said? The leader of the Green Immortal Mountain disciples said, Fine, since we've already agreed to cooperate with him, let's give it a try. Use your strongest attacks to blast the ground. The rest of the people agreed one after another. In any case, doing so is very safe and would not attract Yuan Neng's pursuit. Ha ha ha, what a bunch of idiots. They believe whatever that guy says. I've never heard of anyone being killed by blasting the ground. Shanghai laughed, full of mockery. The disciples of the Scarlet Immortal Mountain and the Purple Immortal Mountain all laughed out loud in disdain. Outside the ghost prison, the Scarlet Fairy Mountain's mountain lords and Purple Fairy Mountain's mountain lords lowered their heads. Regardless of whether Ling Xiao's plan was effective or not, the performance of the disciples of the Scarlet Fairy Mountain and the Purple Fairy Mountain was unacceptable. Our disciples must have been instigated by the desert sea. Crimson Viper finally decided to give up on the desert. Desert Sea had really disappointed her. Her series of actions had been seen by so many people present. Even if she jumped into the stormy ocean, she would not be able to clear her name. She had to make a statement. Otherwise, her Scarlet Immortal Mountain would no longer be able to raise its head in the 8 Immortals' Mountain. I'm afraid that the people of our purple immortal mountain have also been bewitched by the sea of sand. The mountain master of the purple immortal mountain added. No one paid any attention to the two of them. Instead, he was extremely shocked by Ling Xiao's terrifying speed. That should be our 8 immortals' mountain's low jade level martial arts technique, the moon-treading meteor steps, right? But how could he be so fast? That's right. Logically speaking, the moon-treading meteor steps might be good, but it shouldn't be this powerful. Even the origin energy couldn't catch up to him. I suspect that Ling Xiao not only condensed the lightning body, but even glimpsed the surface of the profound truths of lightning. You should all know that the profound truths of lightning not only have terrifying destructive power, but also terrifying speed. Lin, how you analyzed. If that's really the case, then this Ling Xiao is definitely a rare genius. Why did he reincarnate directly to a place like Yuhua Town? This doesn't make sense. The Orange Immortal Mountain Lord didn't understand. We all know that the more talented a martial artist is, the stronger the place they go to after reincarnating. Have you heard of the 2 great experts of the White Tiger continent, Tianhai Tyranny and Feng Fei? Of course we've heard of them. Even if those 2 youngsters were placed in the White Tiger continent, they would still be absolute geniuses. The crowd said, that's right. Of those 2, one reincarnated to the powerful Heavenly King's Gate. The other reincarnated to the equally powerful Black Snake Devil Sect. Ling Xiao definitely can't compare to them. The Green Immortal Mountain Lord added. I've heard that a young martial artist, even more terrifying than Tianhai Tyranny and Feng Fei, rose from the White Tiger continent. His name was Ling Xiao. But in the end, in order to save the woman he loved, he went mad and died in the 9 Heavens Palace. The Ling Xiao of our 8 Immortal Mountain shouldn't be him. Of course not. If it's really that Ling Xiao, the place he reincarnated to wouldn't be any weaker than the Heavenly King's Gate or the Black Snake Devil Sect. Cough, cough, we've gone off topic. Do you all think Ling Xiao's plan will succeed this time? Lin Haoyu corrected the topic. His plan is probably to team up with Cheng Feiying to deal with the origin energy, relying on his speed to make the origin energy lose focus. There's still a chance of success. After all, the origin energy's speed isn't an advantage. Then why did he tell those people to use their ultimate skills on the ground? I don't think there's any special meaning behind it. He's just deliberately mystifying things so that the origin energy won't be able to focus on the battle. That's the only possibility. I really can't tell. While the people outside were discussing, Cheng Feiying had already released her ultimate move. It slammed into the origin energy's wound. This time, the terrifying notes condensed into a ferocious ice tiger that bit into the origin energy's neck. In pain, the origin energy released his chi to shatter the tiger, but the wound that had already healed tore open again. This made him furious. Coupled with the fact that he couldn't catch up to Ling Xiao, he finally changed his mind and rushed towards Cheng Feiying instead. Cheng Feiying did as Ling Xiao said and hurriedly fled. By now, Ling Xiao had already stabbed his sword towards the origin energy. Brat, you've been tricked. Now you're dead. The origin energy, who was chasing after Cheng Feiying, suddenly turned his head to look at Ling Xiao. He pushed his hands forward, and a huge lava hand blasted towards Ling Xiao. It turned out that he had deliberately made others think that he was chasing after Cheng Feiying. In fact, he had deliberately set a trap for Ling Xiao to attack him and then seriously injure or even kill Ling Xiao. Oh no, this long-prepared attack is too strong. Cheng Feiying won't be able to save him in time. Outside the ghost prison, many people panicked. Sigh, although they're all reincarnation realm martial artists, this origin energy is still too cunning. Ling Xiao is still a little naive. The master of Orange Fairy Mountain sighed. Hurry up and run, Ling Xiao. Lin Ruoxian almost shouted out loud. However, the Ling Xiao in the image didn't run away. Instead, a cold smile appeared on his face. However, no one saw the smile. Not even the origin energy was seen. If he had seen it, he wouldn't have attacked. Who's been tricked? You really don't get it. Ling Xiao sneered inwardly, but the long sword in his hand still flew out. Chapter 2256. If anyone knew Ling Xiao in the past, they would understand how terrifying this white circle was. Because this was one of Ling Xiao's profound meaning of light. Light prison. And on the ground, there was a huge black circle. It was the dark prison that corresponded to the light prison. The dark prison could absorb attacks. Of course, there was a limit to how much it could absorb. But if it was strengthened by the array, it could completely absorb the attacks of all the candidates here. The light prison could release all these attacks at the same time. It was also strengthened by the array. The array that Ling Xiao set up was very exquisite. It concealed this exquisite move of his. So even if there were experts spying on them, they wouldn't notice anything unusual. They would only think that Ling Xiao had used the array. When Yuan Neng's magma hand touched the tip of Ling Xiao's sword, he suddenly understood something. His expression changed drastically. He wanted to retreat frantically. However, his feet were frozen in place by the cold ice. That was naturally Cheng Feiying's doing. Although this freezing might only last for a few seconds, it was enough for Ling Xiao. An extremely terrifying attack was released from the tip of Ling Xiao's sword. The people who were confused just now seemed to understand the purpose of Ling Xiao's arrangement at this moment. That's my attack. Mine too. But why are they all gathered together? Those who had released their attacks just now realized that the power of their attacks was all condensed together and released at the same time to attack a single point. This was something that they absolutely couldn't do. But Ling Xiao did it. How is this possible? Even the powerhouses outside the ghost prison were shocked. Ling Xiao did something that they didn't even dare to think about. This was simply a miracle. It seems that this kid's talent has increased after he entered the samsara. He's actually so smart. Lin Haoyu sighed. This time, Yuan Neng is probably dead for sure. The Orange Fairy Mountain Master said excitedly, I never thought that this Ling Xiao would become the final savior. This is too ironic. Did any of you have even a little bit of expectation for him? No. This included Lin Ruoxian and Lin Haoyu. Even if they supported Ling Xiao, they would never have thought that Ling Xiao would have such a terrifying ability. This was really unexpected. Yuan Neng was equally shocked. The moment he touched it, he knew that he had been tricked. His arms were instantly destroyed by the attack. But at this moment, a strange word came out of his mouth. Netherworld. Ling Xiao didn't care at first. But after that, he understood what these two words meant. Suddenly, a black shadow emerged from Yuan Neng's body. That should be the Netherworld he was talking about. Ling Xiao's terrifying attack smashed Netherworld into pieces, and in the end it collapsed and disappeared. However, it blocked most of the attacks for Yuan Neng. This allowed Yuan Neng to survive even though he had lost both his arms. Moreover, losing both arms was an extremely terrifying thing to others. It was so terrifying that it made one despair. However, Yuan Neng was not worried about losing both of his arms. That was because he had 18 arms behind him. 2 of them were directly attached to his body. One arm held a sword, and the other arm held a saber. The moment Netherworld was destroyed, he attacked Ling Xiao. He hated Ling Xiao to the core. He had almost been killed. If he hadn't killed so many people over the years and cultivated the Netherworld battle body, he would probably have died. However, the elementary Netherworld battle body could only help him block one fatal attack. If there were more similar attacks, he would be in big trouble. Therefore, he absolutely couldn't let Ling Xiao live, and he couldn't give Ling Xiao a chance to release a second powerful attack. Moonlight Meteor. At that moment, Ling Xiao avoided his vital points, but Yuan Neng's saber and sword still stabbed into his ribs. They were too sharp, and there was a suffocating, gloomy feeling. Note beast, ice lion. Just as Yuan Neng was about to launch another attack, Ching Fei Ying's attack came again. Yuan Neng felt his body become sluggish, and the coldness froze him for an instant. Not only that, the terrifying ice lion bit his neck again. Although his blood was frozen, the pain was bone-piercing. It's over. It's over. I didn't expect Yuan Neng to have cultivated the Netherworld battle body. Although it's only the elementary Netherworld battle body, he managed to avoid the fatal attack just now. I'm afraid Ling Xiao and the others don't have a chance anymore. The Purple Fairy Mountain's mountain lord exclaimed, but there was a hint of schadenfreude in his exclamation. He was a little happy that Ling Xiao didn't kill Yuan Neng. Otherwise, the brat would have stolen the limelight. However, even if he was gloating, the others knew that Ling Xiao was injured. At this point in the battle, it was basically impossible to turn the situation around. Despair descended once again. The originally excited faces of the crowd were left with helplessness and unwillingness. Just a little bit more. The Orange Fairy Mountain's mountain lord sighed and said, "Just a little bit more." He kept repeating the same words. The children haven't given up yet. How can we despair so quickly? Lin Haoyu suddenly pointed at the scene on the screen and said. Everyone looked up. Ling Xiao was blocked behind them. The disciples of the lower 8 immortals, led by Cheng Feiying, except for those from Scarlet Fairy Mountain and Purple Fairy Mountain, all stood up, because they saw hope. They saw hope in killing Yuan Neng. Everyone listen up. If there was a first attack, just now there can be a second. However, Yuan Neng's elementary Netherworld battle body has lost its effect. Let Ling Xiao recover from his injuries, and we can kill that guy, Cheng Feiying said loudly. Yes, when everyone worked together, they were still very powerful. Moreover, Yuan Neng was now covered in injuries. His arms were destroyed, just now. Although it didn't seem to affect him much, it still put a burden on his body. In addition, Cheng Feiying left a few frostbites on Yuan Neng's body, and the power of thunder and lightning that Ling Xiao left in Yuan Neng's body. All of these made Yuan Neng's combat strength significantly lower than before. Although he couldn't be called a paper tiger, he was definitely not as strong as before. They could still hold on for a while and wait for Ling Xiao to recover from his injuries. However, at this moment, a terrifying shadow appeared behind Ling Xiao. It's Shanghai. What is that guy trying to do? Lin Haoyu said in shock. He's crazy. He's crazy. Is he trying to kill Ling Xiao? Even if they have some grudges, he's trying to destroy everyone's only hope at this time? The Orange Fairy Mountain's mountain lord was about to go crazy. Shanghai had wanted to kill Ling Xiao for a long time. At this moment, although Ling Xiao was protected behind everyone, he was exposed in front of him. How could he give up such a good opportunity so easily? Go to hell, Ling Xiao. Trash like you doesn't deserve to steal my limelight. Chapter 2257. At that moment, Ling Xiao was fully focused on the origin energy. He did not expect Shanghai, this despicable person, to ambush him under such circumstances. When he realized what was going on, he could only block the attack hastily. Shanghai was not weak. Even if he managed to block the attack, he would definitely be injured. In the end, it would affect his combat ability. Shanghai should be hacked into pieces. How can there be such a shameless person? The Orange Fairy Mountain's mountain master roared. I didn't expect this either. Although Qi Lian felt that she was domineering sometimes, she was not that shameless. However, Shanghai was shameless in the truest sense. Even she felt embarrassed. In the ghost prison, the disciples of the 8 Immortal Mountain who wanted to protect Ling Xiao from the Origin Energy's attack were furious. However, there was nothing they could do. They were too far away to save Ling Xiao. Get lost! At this critical moment, An explosive shout sounded out. Sha Hai and Ling Xiao turned their heads to look. A figure rushed over at an extremely fast speed. He blocked the punch for Ling Xiao and collided with Sha Hai's palm. However, the figure was quickly sent flying. He fell to the ground. His arms were slightly withered, as if they had been sucked dry. However, with his help, Ling Xiao finally had time to react. He lifted his leg and kicked Sha Hai's abdomen. Sha Hai spat out blood and flew backward. Ling Xiao did not care about Sha Hai. He quickly ran over to check on Lin Yang's injuries. That's right. The person who came to save Ling Xiao was Lin Yang. Lin Yang's arms were strangely withered. Fortunately, they were not completely crippled. For a Yin Yang realm martial artist, this was not considered a serious injury. However, that was just a punch. If it had been a little longer, Lin Yang's arms would have been completely crippled. Quick, take this blood chi pill. Ling Xiao shoved the pill into Lin Yang's mouth, then looked at Sha Hai, who had yet to get up, and said, "Bastard, I don't have time to deal with you now. I'll make you pay after I destroy Yuan Neng." Although he had been pierced by the elemental energy weapon, it wasn't a fatal wound. And it wasn't a vital part either. With the healing pill and the life martial spirit, it was very easy for him to recover. At this time, Yuan Neng was surrounded by Cheng Feiying and the others. He had already gone crazy and injured many martial artists. He knew that this situation could not continue. If this continued, the flames of battle that had just been ignited would probably be extinguished again. Ling Xiao opened his Tai Chi eye and carefully observed the current state of the origin energy. He could not help but smile. His origin energy was much weaker than before. He can probably maintain the strength of the first revolution Yin Yang realm's second level of hell. That's much easier to deal with. Ling Xiao revealed a sinister smile. It was impossible to use the dark prison and light prison a second time. After all, they were only temporary formations. That was why he had been worried about how to deal with this guy. But now, it seemed that it was easier than he had expected. He glanced at Lin Yang and asked, "Brother, can you still move?" "I'm fine, boss. My arms are just hurting. After eating the blood chi pill you gave me, they're gradually recovering." Lin Yang replied, "That's good. Hide in a corner. I alone will be enough for the rest of the battle." Ling Xiao smiled coldly, and his figure suddenly disappeared. Everyone who was fighting a tough battle with Yuan Neng suddenly felt a terrifying aura pass by them. They were all stunned. Only Cheng Feiying saw Ling Xiao's figure. She wanted to call out to Ling Xiao. Why did this person, who was clearly very intelligent, suddenly become so reckless? Why did he want to fight Yuan Neng head-on? She did not understand, but then she quickly understood. The heavy long sword in Ling Xiao's hand was wrapped with an even more intense power of lightning. This power of lightning actually made Cheng Feiying feel fear. The people outside the ghost prison might not be able to sense it, but Cheng Feiying felt it very directly. No, impossible. This guy's lightning battle constitution is not elementary. It's intermediate. She found it hard to understand. One had to know that the prerequisite to condensing an intermediate lightning battle constitution was that one's physical fitness had to be at least at the 6th level of the Yin Yang realm. But Ling Xiao's cultivation was obviously not that strong. How could he condense such a terrifying intermediate lightning battle constitution? While she was shocked, the crazy lightning was still gathering on the heavy long sword in Ling Xiao's hand. Streaks of sharp, lightning-like sword chi revolved around the heavy long sword. More and more of them were gathering. "Idiot, you must have been beaten silly. You actually want to fight Yuan Neng head-on?" Qi Lian could not help but curse. Even now, she still looked down on Ling Xiao. She always felt that Ling Xiao was not good enough. "That's not necessarily true," Lin Haoyu said indifferently. "This kid naturally has his reasons for doing things. There's no harm in watching a little longer. Maybe we'll find a surprise." A surprise indeed came. The long sword in Ling Xiao's hand finally stabbed out. His timing was very good. Earlier, Yuan Neng wanted to chase down a disciple of the Green Immortal Mountain. Now that he was about to turn around to deal with him, it was naturally when his inner force was broken. If he took advantage of this opportunity to attack, the effect would be maximized. This kid is really smart. The Orange Immortal Mountain's Mountain Lord could not help but praise. His ability to grasp opportunities is probably unmatched among the disciples of the Upper 8 Immortal Mountain. You're boasting too much. If it were Mo Feiyu, Yuan Neng would have died long ago. The Purple Immortal Mountain's Mountain Lord said unhappily. It was only because everyone was staring at Ling Xiao's attack that they didn't pay attention to his words. Otherwise, it would be strange if he didn't die. The lightning sword Qi descended like heavenly fire and greeted Yuan Neng's body. Thunderbolt Meteor Sword Art, Thunderbolt Skyfire. The same attack could be used to deal with multiple enemies, but it could also be used to deal with one enemy. The terrifying attack power of multiple attacks gathered together and blasted on one person. At that moment, Yuan Neng was bombarded by countless lightning bolts. He let out a hysterical howl. He was already covered in wounds and did not have much of an advantage against Ling Xiao. After being hit by this attack, he was basically standing on the same starting line as Ling Xiao. Cheng Feiying, Ling Xiao suddenly shouted. He did not say what he wanted Cheng Feiying to do, but the girl was smart enough to play the flute. On the ground, a python condensed from ice wrapped around Yuan Ning's feet, giving him no chance to retreat. Nice. Ling Xiao laughed and put away his longsword. Then he performed a seal in the air. Dharma Image Seal. Third Prince Neza. Strike of the Universe. The power of the Strike of the Universe was still stronger than the first two moves of Ling Xiao's Meteor Sword Art. Moreover, it was combined with the lightning power of the intermediate Thunderbolt Battle Constitution. Chapter 2258. The back of Yuan Neng's neck had been slashed open by Ling Xiao and attacked by Cheng Feiying several times. He was already covered in wounds. Now he was attacked by Ling Xiao again. Yuan Neng's head was directly blasted off. Without a head, even an Yin Yang Realm warrior would die without a doubt. He succeeded. He actually succeeded. Everyone was very surprised, including the warriors inside and outside the ghost prison. Oh, after a moment of silence, everyone in the ghost prison cheered excitedly. Before Ling Xiao appeared, they didn't even have the slightest hope of defeating Yuan Neng. That despair was still fresh in their minds. However, after Ling Xiao appeared, hope seemed to follow. At this moment, he killed Yuan Neng. Everyone felt as if they were dreaming. However, after pinching themselves hard, they finally confirmed that this wasn't a dream. This was reality. They really succeeded. They successfully killed Yuan Neng. Everything was over. Great. My good granddaughter finally doesn't have to die. Outside the ghost prison, the aged Orange Fairy Mountain's Mountain Master was also tearing up. It seemed that he really loved his granddaughter very much. If Cheng Feiying really died, he didn't know how much pain he would feel. That brat, he actually succeeded. This is too surprising. Lin Haoyu had always been good to Ling Xiao because of his relationship with Lin Ruoxian and Lin Yang. However, to be honest, he didn't expect Ling Xiao to be able to achieve such a result. I was right to choose him to join the 8 Immortals Mountain. If it wasn't for him, all the disciples in the 8 Immortals assessment would have died tragically. Lin Ruoxian was also very excited because she did the right thing, something that she should be proud of. Zhou Tong and Desert Cloud, who were in the crowd, had ashen faces. They couldn't have imagined such a thing. Ling Xiao could actually kill Yuan Neng? Although it was because Yuan Neng was seriously injured, he was killed by Ling Xiao. This was an undeniable fact. Why isn't this guy a disciple of my Scarlet Immortal Mountain? Qi Lian was filled with jealousy as he looked at the gigantic image. In the past, she had never thought highly of Ling Xiao. But today, Ling Xiao had really stolen the limelight. From then on, the status of the Black Immortal Mountain would probably rise as well. Their status in the Eight Immortals Mountain would greatly increase. Her Scarlet Deity Mountain, on the other hand, would become a target of scorn because of that idiot Sha Hai. The Mountain Master of the Purple Deity Mountain didn't look too good either. However, the only thing he was glad about was that Lin Yang was also a disciple of the Purple Deity Mountain. Furthermore, he had saved Ling Xiao. No matter what, the Purple Deity Mountain still had some merit in this matter. Everyone's hearts were filled with emotions, each with their own thoughts. However, at this moment, a terrifying gale suddenly blew through the ghost prison. Sand and pebbles flew everywhere, causing people to tremble with fear. Everyone looked in the direction of the gale. Over there, the sea of sand was suspended in midair, surrounded by raging winds and sand. Between his eyebrows, a strange inscription actually appeared, sand. This ancient inscription represented his bloodline and his martial soul. The sand race's martial soul was the sand martial soul. This martial soul had many variations and could release many strange abilities. The stronger it was, the more abilities it could display. Sha Hai looked at Ling Xiao coldly. His eyes were filled with cold killing intent. He still felt the pain of being kicked by Ling Xiao previously. In addition, Ling Xiao had stolen all the limelight from him. It was hard for him to accept this. As the inscription between his eyebrows became brighter and brighter, the aura of Sha Hai also became stronger. It was as if he had turned into a god of war in the desert. It was a very strange scene. Even his body had turned into sand. This was the terrifying thing about a nature-type martial soul. Although a nature-type martial soul couldn't be said to be the strongest, it was definitely the most useful and the most terrifying. After all, it could control natural elements and turn one's body into elements. Just this point alone was enough to make countless people envious. Amidst the yellow sand in the sky, there seemed to be the power of lightning faintly appearing. In order to deal with Ling Xiao, Sha Hai not only used his bloodline martial soul, but also his elementary lightning battle body. His killing intent towards Ling Xiao was much stronger than his killing intent towards Yuanneng. Oh no, what is Sha Hai trying to do? He actually used the Sand Race's divine inscription to deal with Ling Xiao. The Orange Fairy Mountain's Mountain Master was the first to realize that something was wrong. This Sand Race's divine inscription can double Sha Hai's strength. This guy is already at the peak of the first level of the Yin-Yang realm. If he continues to improve, he'll probably be infinitely close to the second level of hell. Moreover, the Sand Race's divine inscription can increase the martial soul's attack power by 4 to 5 times. Ling Xiao just fought Yuanneng and must have used up a lot of energy. He's in danger. Lin Ruoxian's heart trembled uncontrollably. Although she trusted Ling Xiao a lot, Ling Xiao had just fought a battle. He didn't seem to be seriously injured. However, in order to kill Yuanneng, he must have used up a lot of energy. Sha Hai chose to deal with Ling Xiao at this time. It was probably premeditated. Deacon of the first level of the ghost prison, quickly open the door. Yuanneng is already dead. The door should be open now, right? Lin Haoyu also looked at the deacon of the first level and said loudly, "Yes." At this time, the deacon dared not disobey. Fortunately, the disciples of the Eight Immortal Mountain weren't all killed by Yuanneng. Otherwise, he would definitely be severely punished. However, opening the door of the first level of the ghost prison wasn't as easy as he imagined. Although Yuanneng was already dead and the formation inside was starting to collapse, it still needed some time. During this time, they could only wait. On the other side, in the ghost prison, Chang Feng stood out and pointed at Sha Hai angrily. "Sha Hai, are you done being crazy? Ling Xiao saved all of our lives. What you're doing is simply shameless. Get out of my way, bitch. I don't need you to meddle in my affairs. Don't think that I won't dare to kill you just because you're related to that Nangong song. I'm a warrior of the Sand Clan. If you push me too far, I'll kill you too. Sha Hai roared crazily as he gathered his strength. Everyone, Ling Xiao saved us. Shouldn't we help him? Chang Feiying said to the warriors who had joined forces to deal with Yuan Ning. Unfortunately, this time, only the people from the Orange Immortal Mountain answered her. After all, Sha Hai wasn't Yuan Ning. He was a warrior of the Sand Clan and a member of the 8 Immortal Mountain. If they killed or injured him, it would be a big problem. Seeing this scene, Ling Xiao laughed coldly. Originally, he had planned to give some of the spoils to these people, but now he gave up. He would just give some to Cheng Feiying and the people from the Orange Immortal Mountain. Chapter 2259. Miss Cheng Feiying, please step aside. This is between me and Sha Hai. Thank you for your kindness, but I'm not afraid of him. Ling Xiao sneered and gave 3 of Yuan Ning's 18 weapons to Cheng Feiying. One of them was the nether flute. As for the remaining 15, Ling Xiao planned to keep the nether ghost claw and give 1 each to Lin Yang and Ling Jiaojiao. The rest would be exchanged for contribution points in the sect. These were all mid-jade, grade martial arts, and fine spiritual weapons. They could definitely be exchanged for a large amount of contribution points. One must know that mid-jade grade martial arts and fine spiritual weapons in 8 Immortal Mountain were only suitable for martial artists above the 6th level of the Yin-Yang realm. This was the reason why Ling Xiao could only choose the low jade grade moon treading meteor steps. The falling star sword art was a martial art he found in Mo Fengzi's jade bracelet. Otherwise, with his cultivation, it would be impossible for him to obtain a mid-jade grade martial art. Of course, there were a few special cases in the lower 8 Immortal Mountain, such as Sha Hai and Cheng Feiying. They were very talented and had strong backgrounds. That was why they could cultivate mid-jade grade martial arts. Even so, mid-jade grade martial arts were very rare in the lower 8 Immortal Mountain. Perhaps it was because Ling Xiao defeated Yuan Ning with the Falling Star sword art and the Dharma idol seal. It was so shocking that people forgot about the grade of his martial arts. But now, Ling Xiao had actually taken 15 out of the 18 sets of jade grade martial arts techniques for himself. Naturally, this caused a lot of dissatisfaction. But so what? Ling Xiao didn't care. Those people refused to help him block Sha Hai. It was obvious what kind of people they were. He didn't feel guilty at all. Those nether weapons are all mine. None of you can have them. Sha Hai gloomily looked at Ling Xiao. At this moment, his aura had already reached its peak. A sandstorm spiraled up around him, and the air became turbid. It was impossible to see anything clearly. Ling Xiao, do you think you'll become the hero of 8 Immortal Mountain just because you killed Yuan Ning? You're wrong, and it was a huge mistake. In the future, the 8 Immortals Mountain will only sing praises of my Yellow Sea, and at most Cheng Feiying. As for you, you will only be one of the people killed by Yuan Ning. Up until now, Sha Hai still didn't know that everything that had happened here had been clearly seen by the people outside. When the people outside heard these words, they were both angry and amused at the same time. Really? That's not necessarily true. Ling Xiao sneered. His body was bathed in resplendent lightning as he pointed the heavy sword in his hand at the sand sea. Hee, nothing is impossible. You can die now. Sha Hai sneered. In the void, the howling of the wind grew louder and louder. It was as if a ferocious beast was constantly roaring. Many people held their breaths and distanced themselves from the battlefield. The strength that Sha Hai had displayed was truly too powerful. This took many people by surprise. Is this the strength of one of the 8 great ancient clans, the Sand Clan? It's too terrifying. The desert sea is much stronger than we imagined. The Sand Clan's divine text is truly heaven-defying. Lin Haoyu frowned and said, Ling Xiao, what should we do to deal with this? Whoosh! A huge tornado was finally formed. Within this tornado, yellow sand filled the air and lightning crisscrossed. It was incomparably shocking. Sand Clan's secret technique, Yellow Sand Dragon Scroll. This was a special secret technique. In terms of rank, it was naturally higher than a mid-jade grade martial technique. Unfortunately, Shanghai's mastery was not enough. The power that it released was at most equivalent to a mid-jade grade martial technique. In the eyes of others, this power was enough to destroy everything in front of Shanghai. As the huge tornado roared, it rushed towards Ling Xiao. Shanghai's figure also disappeared. He should have merged into the yellow sand that filled the sky. Wherever the tornado passed, the ground cracked and the plants withered. There were even a few disciples of the 8 Immortals Mountain who did not manage to escape in time. They were directly sucked dry and turned into dried corpses. In the end, they were crushed and merged into the yellow sand. The Sand Clan's mid-jade grade secret technique is even more powerful than a normal mid-jade grade martial technique. Combined with the Sand Clan's divine text, the attack power is too strong. Why didn't he use it just now? If he did, he would be the one to kill Yuan Neng. Qi Lian muttered to herself. She really wanted her disciple to become a hero, and not like now, where all the mountain lords saw his ugly actions clearly. Oh no, Chang Feiying also knew that Ling Xiao was in trouble this time. Not to mention that Ling Xiao had used up a lot of Yuan Ning's energy to defeat him. It would be difficult for him to block Shanghai's terrifying attack. Lin Ruoxian, who was outside the ghost prison, even wanted to rush in. But there was no other way. The gate of the ghost prison was still closed. They could only watch as Shanghai, this despicable and shameless guy, acted impudently there. Lin Yang, who was inside the ghost prison, wanted to help, but was stopped by Ling Xiao. Lin Yang, as my brother, you have to have confidence in me. You don't really think that I can't block Shanghai's attack, do you? Ling Xiao smiled faintly. He had to admit that Shanghai's powerful attack was almost as powerful as Yuan Ning's attack after he was seriously injured. It definitely had the ability to hurt him. But so what? It was just a target for Ling Xiao to test his sword. The Meteor Sword technique has a total of 6 moves. I've only used 2 of them. One move, Fall, and the other, Heavenly Fire. Fall has reached perfection. Its power is boundless. Heavenly Fire, on the other hand, has only reached perfection. But just now, in the battle with Yuan Ning, I finally increased the power of these 2 moves. Death had already reached the pinnacle of perfection. Heavenly Fire, on the other hand, has reached perfection. The increase in power is not just a little bit. Just right, I'll use Shanghai as a target to test my moves. Ling Xiao thought to himself. His body slowly rose up. The thunder and lightning on his body suddenly disappeared. What replaced it was a sudden burst of bright starlight. His entire body seemed to be bathed in the starry sky. The starlight behind him was especially dazzling. This dazzling light made many people close their eyes. Is Ling Xiao really planning to fight Shanghai head-on? Under Shanghai's attack, he should avoid it if he can. Doesn't he have a powerful movement technique? The Orange Fairy Mountain's Mountain Master asked, puzzled. I'm afraid it's not that he doesn't want to avoid it, but that he can't. The Purple Fairy Mountain's Mountain Master smiled and said, the most terrifying thing about the Sand Race's secret technique is that it can affect the entire space. Ling Xiao is already surrounded by the sandstorm. He can't escape at all. Since he can't escape, he can only fight it head-on. Even if it's an egg hitting a rock, there's no other way. I don't think so. Shanghai's secret technique is powerful. But don't forget that the sword technique Ling Xiao used just now can injure Yuan Ning. Lin Haoyu reminded. Chapter 2260. Behind Ling Xiao, the ball of starlight grew brighter and brighter, bigger and bigger. Its aura actually gradually suppressed the madly charging sandstorm. It made people forget how to speak. This sword is to tell you that aristocratic bloodlines are nothing special. The so-called sand race's divine script is just a little inheritance left to you by your ancestors. You don't know how to carry it forward and only know how to make use of it. How can you become strong? Thunderbolt meteor sword art. Thunderbolt fall. Perfection. What's going on? Is his sword art an intermediate jade grade sword technique? Chang Feiying felt her lips tremble, and her whole body trembled. Her worry about Ling Xiao vanished in an instant. An intermediate jade grade sword technique that had reached perfection? This was something that even she couldn't do. One had to know that his sound talisman beast incantation was also a jade intermediate secret technique, but he had only cultivated it to the proficient level. Ling Xiao had actually honed this sword technique to the point of perfection? Was it really possible? Whether or not it was possible, the truth was in front of her. Chang Feiying didn't care whether she believed it or not. That was the reality. What a monster. This kid. Lin Haoyu sighed. To be honest, since I became the external hall master of the 8 Immortals Mountains Hall of Virtue and Punishment, I've only seen one person as monstrous as him. That was Ling Yan. But Ling Yan isn't as good as him. Although many people wanted to refute Lin Haoyu's words, they didn't know how to. At the very least, the terrifying sword intent that Ling Xiao had displayed was enough to completely crush Shanghai. The moment Ling Xiao's sword arrived, starlight filled the entire space. The originally roaring yellow sand tornado was instantly destroyed by the terrifying sword chi. It was like a snake being torn to pieces. The terrifying sword light covered the entire space. The only thing people could see was the yellow sand covered by the starlight. Ling Xiao's sword art had won. When the starlight disappeared, the yellow sand had completely stopped. Ling Xiao and Shanghai were both standing in the void. However, the two situations were completely different. Ling Xiao's sword had already pierced Sanxi's throat. Sanxi was like a corpse hanging there, with only blood dripping down. This scene seemed to have been frozen in time, causing everyone to become dumbfounded. The ghost prison was completely silent. Outside the ghost prison, there was also a short period of complete silence. Young master. Suddenly, Desert Cloud, who was in the middle of the crowd, howled in pain. This voice startled the people outside. The door seems to be open. The deacon of the first floor of the ghost prison said. Hearing that the door to the first floor of the ghost prison had opened, everyone rushed inside. Desert Cloud and Zhou Tong also rushed in. Lin Ruoxian did not move for a long time. This scene caused her cheeks to turn red. Which girl doesn't like heroes? She doesn't like outstanding men? In the past, Lin Ruoxian helped Ling Xiao only because of Ling Xiao's outstanding talent, and because Ling Xiao helped Lin Yang. But this time it was because of Ling Xiao's strength that she developed a sense of admiration. Seeing Desert Cloud rush in, she hurriedly followed. Ling Xiao killed Shanghai with a single sword strike. Desert Cloud would not let this matter rest. That guy was Shanghai's supervisor and also his bodyguard. With Shanghai dead, Desert Cloud would definitely be the unlucky one. Therefore, Desert Cloud would definitely take revenge on Ling Xiao, even if it meant breaking the sex rules. After all, in Desert Cloud's eyes, the Sand Tribe was more important than the sect. At this time in the ghost prison, Chang Feiying was also in a daze for a long time. She felt that Ling Xiao's shadow had been deeply imprinted in her soul realm. She originally thought that this person would not have anything to do with her. But in reality, from the moment Ling Xiao saved her, this person's shadow became clearer and clearer in her heart. At this moment, it was completely imprinted in her soul. The disciples of the Scarlet Immortal Mountain were the ones who were the most afraid and unable to believe this fact. Hey, are you kidding me? How could Lord Shanghai lose to Ling Xiao? And lose so miserably? In a head-on battle, Ling Xiao actually killed Lord Shanghai after exhausting so much energy? They had mocked Ling Xiao more than once, saying that he was trash and not qualified to be compared to Shanghai. But what could they say in this situation? Trash defeated the invincible Shanghai in their hearts? They felt their faces burning, and their hearts were filled with fear. At this time, the people outside had already entered. Although he had seen the same scene on the screen just now, standing at such a close distance, he realized that it really wasn't a dream. The 7 mountain lords, including Lin Haoyu, felt like they had been slapped in the face. Especially Qi Lian and the mountain lord of Purple Fairy Mountain. They had praised Shanghai endlessly, but in the end, Ling Xiao defeated Shanghai so easily. They really felt their faces burning uncomfortably. Young master! Desert Cloud rose into the air and attacked Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao dodged. Desert Cloud carried Shanghai's corpse and placed it on the ground. A round, jade-like pill was placed into Shanghai's mouth. It's the 9 Transformations Life Recovery Pill. Ling Xiao frowned. This pill was something that he could not refine now. It was an extremely high-quality pill. He did not expect the sand race to have it, and it was even used by trash like Shanghai. The scariest effect of this pill was that as long as the person did not die for too long, the corpse would be kept warm. Furthermore, as long as the corpse's temperature was maintained at least 90%, it could be revived. This was simply a heaven-defying pill. It was said that only the alchemists of the Immortal Court could refine it. Ling Xiao had seen similar pills before, and that was when he had just arrived at the White Tiger continent. He did not expect to see it again today. This was probably the foundation of a big family. However, it was not a big deal. Shanghai was just a defeated opponent to him. So what if he was revived? Since he dared to find trouble with him, he would naturally find a way to kill him. He believed that the people outside had seen the battle today, clearly. He had a good reason to kill Shanghai. Even if Shanghai was a disciple of the sand race, it was useless. After all, the 8 Immortal Mountain was not controlled by the sand race, but by the 8 great ancient races. No matter what, Ling Xiao had saved so many disciples of the 8 Immortal Mountain today. Even if there were people who hated him to the core, he was still a meritorious person to the sect. This would not change. Whoever went against him would be slapping the 8 Immortal Mountain's face. Ruoxian, you have a good eye. This Ling Xiao will become a disciple of the 8 Immortal Mountain sooner or later if you nurture him well. Lin Haoyu smiled at Lin Ruoxian. With Ling Xiao's aptitude, the 8 Immortal Mountain would definitely nurture him. After all, in this era, it was the era of fighting for geniuses. No one would easily give a genius away. Hee, don't be delusional, Hall Master Lin. I admit that Ling Xiao is very strong, but don't forget the selection rules of the 8 Immortal Mountain. With Ling Xiao's aptitude, he is not bad, but it would be very difficult for him to pass. Chapter 2261. Don't even think about it. There's no way Ling Xiao can pass the selection of the upper 8 Immortal Mountain. The Mountain Master of the Purple Immortal Mountain sneered. Even though Lin Haoyu wanted to refute, he shook his head bitterly after opening his mouth. The upper 8 Immortal Mountain was the true core of the 8 Immortal Mountain. Ling Xiao might have the qualifications, but his strength and other conditions were far from enough. Heis, if only Ling Xiao had Desert Cloud's background. But what a pity. Lin Haoyu sighed. That's right. Desert Cloud will definitely participate in the selection of the upper 8 Immortal Mountain this time around. And he'll definitely pass. After all, he's from the sand race. As long as he passes the selection, he'll be accepted into the sand race. But it's different for the others. To pass the selection, one has to be selected. Otherwise, no matter how good one's results are, it'll be useless. Lin Ruoxian shook his head. It seemed as though Ling Xiao's path of ascension had come to an end just like that. He was really indignant. Ruoxian, don't think too much about it. Ling Xiao has offended the sand race. Even if he were to be promoted to the upper 8 Immortal Mountain, he might not have a good ending. Don't forget what kind of a person Sha Jiao is. This time around, Sha Jiao was indeed killed by Ling Xiao. He was only saved by Desert Cloud with the 9 transformations, life, return pill. The 9 transformations, life, return pill was the same as the 9 transformations, soul, return pill. They were both treasures of the ancient race. They were non-renewable resources. This time around, the Sand Race had suffered a huge loss. There was no way Sha Jiao would let him off. If Ling Xiao didn't enter the upper 8 Immortal Mountain, Sha Jiao probably wouldn't care about him. He would only try to trip him up secretly or send his lackeys to deal with Ling Xiao. If that was the case, Ling Xiao would still be able to handle it. But once Ling Xiao becomes a disciple of the upper 8 Immortal Mountain, Sha Jiao would definitely not let him off. Lin Haoyu consoled Lin Ruoxian. Even though that's the logic, I still feel indignant. Lin Ruoxian sighed. He was about to talk to Ling Xiao about this so that Ling Xiao could be mentally prepared. But at that moment, Desert Cloud suddenly charged towards Ling Xiao. Even though Shahai had been saved, his eyes were devoid of life. It was clear that he was crippled. He was probably killed in front of so many people, and in such a miserable manner. Even if he was saved, he would be too ashamed. Nobles, after all, always valued their reputation very much. Therefore, Desert Cloud had to make Ling Xiao pay the price. Desert Cloud, what are you trying to do? Lin Ruoxian appeared in front of Ling Xiao. He looked coldly at the Desert Cloud and said, Ling Xiao has made great contributions to the sect. If you dare to touch him, I will kill you. Desert Cloud frowned, and his body came to an abrupt halt. Of course, he was not afraid of Ling Xiao, but against Lin Ruoxian he had no chance of winning. After all, he was just a disciple of the lower 8 Immortal Mountain, while Lin Ruoxian was a disciple of the upper 8 Immortal Mountain. The gap between them was obvious. Ling Xiao, you trash. If you have the ability, don't stand behind a woman. Fight me one-on-one. Desert Cloud roared at Ling Xiao. Are you an idiot? You are just a dog of the Sha family. What right do you have to fight me? Do you know why I didn't participate in the life and death battle in Shanghai? Many people thought that I was afraid. What a joke. I just wanted to tell everyone that I, Ling Xiao, am not a dog of Shanghai. I don't need to be called to come and go. Ling Xiao looked at Desert Cloud and said contemptuously, You are courting death. Desert Cloud roared. Even a dog of the Sha family is worth more than a martial artist from a remote town like you. You don't understand how scary the Sha family is. Do you know who Sha Jiao is? He is the brother of Shahai, and he is his biological brother. You touched Shahai, so he will not let you go. His methods are extremely cruel. If you die in my hands today, it might be a relief for you. You talk too much. What Sha Jiao? I have never heard of him. Have you heard of Mo Feiyu? Ling Xiao asked. He is one of the top geniuses of the 8 Immortal Mountain. But what is the result of him going against me? He was really not afraid of Sha Jiao, because it was useless to be afraid. The 8 great ancient families sounded impressive, but compared to the true demonic empire of the past, it was nothing. Ling Xiao was not afraid of the true demonic empire's demon generals. Why would he be afraid of a small family? If he could not survive, he could just leave. Once he left the 8 Immortals County, the 8 Immortal Mountain was not impressive at all, let alone the Sha family. Therefore, Desert Cloud was really stupid to use such a thing to scare a reincarnated warrior who had seen the world. Who hurt my brother? At this moment, a cold voice came from the sky. Like a cold wind, it instantly blew through the entire space. Then, a figure wrapped in yellow sand attacked. He stood next to Shahai. This person was dressed in black, and there was also a mark of Shahai between his eyebrows. But his strength was many times stronger than Shahai's. There were several terrifying scars on his face. It was said that they were all left behind when he challenged someone of a higher level. However, Others left insignificant scars on his face, but he caused others to lose their lives. Desert Cloud, who did it? The first thing Sha Jiao did when he arrived was to ask his brother, who hurt him. This was naturally very important. As he spoke, Ling Xiao was also looking at Sha Jiao. This Sha Jiao was not a reincarnated warrior, but he had to admit that he was really a genius. That terrifying body released an aura that caused him to be fearful. Of course, this aura seemed to be a little weaker than Mo Feiyu's. After all, Mo Feiyu did not belong to any of the 8 great ancient clans, but he became a special disciple of the 8 Immortals Mountain. His talent was really outstanding. Young Master Sha Jiao, it was that guy who did it. Desert Cloud pointed at Ling Xiao and said, Lin Ruoxian. Sha Jiao frowned. Perhaps it was because Lin Ruoxian was standing in front of Ling Xiao. Or maybe it was because Ling Xiao's aura was too weak, and Sha Jiao did not think that he could defeat Sha Hai. So there was such a problem. No, it's that person. The person behind Lin Ruoxian. Desert Cloud said, Him. Sha Jiao was stunned for a moment and said, Are you sure? My brother will lose to that kind of trash? Desert Cloud smiled bitterly and said, It's true. Damn it. Sha Jiao suddenly took a step forward and punched out. A storm wrapped in yellow sand rushed toward Ling Xiao. Of course, this attack was easily blocked by Lin Ruoxian. Sha Jiao, since Sha Hai is not dead, let's call it a day. If we really want to investigate, Sha Hai's behavior is simply despicable. Lin Ruoxian looked at Sha Jiao and said coldly, How dare you stop me? Bitch. Sha Jiao said coldly, You don't want to marry me. Is it because you like this guy? He pointed at Ling Xiao and asked. So what? Lin Ruoxian was scolded so harshly by the idiot. In a fit of anger, she said something that wasn't appropriate at this moment. This made Ling Xiao stunned. Chapter 2262. Sure enough, kid. How dare you compete with me for the same woman? You have some guts. Sha Jiao had an ugly expression on his face. He had come to seek justice for his younger brother, Sha Hai, but in the end, he had gotten himself into trouble. The woman he had chosen had actually fallen in love with another man. He really didn't take himself seriously. He glared at Ling Xiao with a murderous look in his eyes. It doesn't matter if you have guts or not. Most importantly, someone like you is really worthy of Deacon Ruoxian. Ling Xiao didn't have a good impression of Sha Jiao either. Sha Jiao had bribed Tong Yuanneng to kill him. Although he hadn't succeeded, he had still done so. To Ling Xiao, this was already a death grudge. If he had to lower his head to such an enemy, he might as well die. Furthermore, Sha Jiao wasn't strong enough to make him fear him. He still had the powerful sky tyrant martial soul and the beast god transformation that he hadn't used yet. Even if he wasn't strong enough, there was still the butterfly lady. If the butterfly lady wasn't enough, there was still the Yuan Venerate. As long as he had enough spirit gems, the Yuan Venerate could help him. In short, Sha Jiao wasn't someone he had to tolerate, so there was no need for him to tolerate. He understood the principle of pretending to be a pig to eat a tiger. However, if he only knew how to pretend to be a pig, then he would really be a pig. Do you think you can do whatever you want just because you have Lin Ruoxian backing you? Sha Jiao said coldly, I don't think that way, nor do I intend to do whatever I want. In fact, aren't you the one who really wants to do whatever you want? You are a disciple of the Upper 8 Immortals and a member of the Sand Race. Yet, you actually barged into the 8 Immortal Mountains assessment and attempted to kill the person who obtained first place. Are you not taking the rules of the 8 Immortal Mountains seriously? Or is the Sand Race trying to monopolize the 8 Immortal Mountain? Ling Xiao believed that the 8 great ancient clans of the 8 Immortal Mountain couldn't just be a fist. There was definitely competition between them and even some internal strife. If the Sand Race acted recklessly, the other clans would definitely step in to stop them. In fact, this matter was being discussed at the 8 Great Ancient Clans meeting on the 8 Immortal Mountain. Sha Hai's actions are truly shameful. Although he is a disciple of the Sand Race, we cannot let him off so easily. That's right. Although Ling Xiao injured Sha Hai, he had no choice. Not only is he not guilty, but he has also performed meritorious deeds. The Sand Clan wouldn't forget the agreement between us, the 8 Great Ancient Clans, in order to protect a disciple, right? Of course not. Everything will be done according to the rules of the sect. The one in charge of the meeting was Sha Hai's father, Sha Lin. In this small meeting, the Sand Clan's sworn enemy, the Zhen clan, was very active. They actually tried their best to protect that Ling Xiao and suppress his son. But as his father, there was nothing he could do. If it was something that had not been discovered, he could use some means to hide it. After all, they had done such things in the past. But now, the troublesome thing was that Sha Hai's actions were all seen by those who went down the 8 Immortal Mountain. Among them were the eyes and ears of the 8 Immortal Mountains and the 8 Great Ancient Clans. There was no way to deny it. Therefore, he could only admit defeat. In any case, Sha Hai was his son, a disciple of the Sand Clan. Even if he admitted defeat, there would not be too severe a punishment. He could only let that brat Ling Xiao benefit from it. How hateful! Recognize that brat clearly. In the future, no matter what activities he engages in, as long as he is a member of the Sand Clan, he will suffer. If you can kill him, it's best to kill him directly. But don't be like my stupid son and do such a stupid thing. Speaking of this matter, Sha Lin gnashed his teeth in hatred. He hated Ling Xiao's audacity. He hated his son even more. How could he be so stupid? Sha Jiao and Desert Cloud, who were trying to deal with Ling Xiao on the first floor of the ghost prison, received the same order. They were told to retreat. Brat, consider yourself lucky. But don't let me catch you. Otherwise, you will definitely die without a burial place. When Sha Jiao left, his face was ashen. He had mustered a lot of people to find trouble with Ling Xiao. In the end, he did not do anything and left with his tail between his legs. This was really a little embarrassing. However, Lin Ruoxian revealed a worried expression. As the saying went, it was easy to dodge a spear in the open, but hard to guard against a stab in the dark. She was afraid that the Sand Clan would not do anything to Ling Xiao on the surface. But it was hard to say behind their backs. Would Ling Xiao really be able to avoid this calamity? She turned around and glanced at Ling Xiao. She planned to find an opportunity to discuss with Ling Xiao to see if Ling Xiao could simply leave the 8 Immortals Mountain and be done with it. In the past, Lin Ruoxian had recruited Ling Xiao to join the 8 Immortals Mountain because they wanted talents. But now, she wanted Ling Xiao to leave the 8 Immortals Mountain purely for Ling Xiao's safety. Sometimes people were contradictory, but this kind of contradiction was nothing more than liking someone. All right, the trial has ended. This time, Ling Xiao has done a great job by saving all the disciples of the 8 Immortals. The 8 ancient tribes have already recorded his contribution. If anyone dares to gossip behind his back, they will be punished. If anyone dares to spread rumors, then don't blame the Hall of Good and Evil for being impolite. Lin Haoyu said a sentence at the right time. All of a sudden, many people were silenced. Originally, many people naturally wanted to tell Qi Lian that Ling Xiao had killed the disciples of the Scarlet Fairy Mountain and Qi Yan. But now, Ling Xiao was no longer the same as before. His outstanding aptitude and intelligence had attracted the attention of the 8 Immortals Mountain. Perhaps one day he would make a meteoric rise and become a carp that leaped over the dragon's gate. It was really not worth offending him. Of course, more importantly, the 8 great ancient clans had just rewarded Ling Xiao. If they were to blame Ling Xiao now, it would be tantamount to denying the 8 great ancient clans. Who would be so bold to court death? Unless there was something wrong with their brains, no one would dare to do so. Everyone followed Lin Haoyu and the others out of the first level of the ghost prison. Ling Xiao, on the other hand, was calculating his gains this time. 15 undead weapons. These undead weapons were all fine spiritual weapons with jade, grade, intermediate martial skills. In other words, Ling Xiao was definitely considered a rich man in the Eight Immortals Mountain. Of course, this was only one of the reasons. In Yuan Ning's body, he found a huge demon seed. This demon seed would be very beneficial for his cultivation breakthrough. Although he was now in the late stage of the first level of hell, his enemy was the entire Sand Clan. There was also Mo Feiyu who could be released at any time. He could not be careless. The stronger he was, the more likely he was to survive. His strength had always been reflected by his strength. Without strength, his strength was just a bluff. Ling Xiao did not have that kind of habit, other than the undead weapons and demon seed. There was also a large number of contribution points. He did a rough calculation and found that there were as many as 500 contribution points. If he donated the remaining undead weapons to the sect, his contribution points might reach more than 1,000. By then, he would be able to exchange them for better things. This time, it could be said that he had a great harvest. Ling Xiao, thank you for before. If you need anything in the future, feel free to look for me. Chapter 2263. In fact, in the process of killing Yuan Ning, Cheng Feiying had helped Ling Xiao a lot. It was because of this that Ling Xiao had given her 3 undead weapons. I just wanted to come out alive. You don't have to thank me. Ling Xiao said with a smile. No matter what, thank you very much. At this point, Cheng Feiying frowned and said, the sand race will never let you go. You must be careful. With that, Cheng Feiying turned and left. Ling Xiao certainly knew that the sand race would not let him go. It was because of this that he needed to continue improving his strength. The threat of others could not make him afraid. Instead, it would only make him cultivate even more crazily. Desert Cloud. Sand Eagle. You want to kill me? It won't be that easy. Soon, the sand race will know the consequences of offending me. Ling Xiao. Mo Feiyu's clan will not be the first to be wiped out, nor will it be the last. Don't mess with me. I'm not a kind person. Ling Xiao had never been a person who would endure humiliation. If others bullied him, he would find a way to get back at them. Whoever liked to be a kind person could be a kind person. Anyway, the so-called kind people he had seen were all screwed over by those evil people in the end. People could not do evil, but they could never not do evil. What are you thinking about? Lin Ruoxian's voice suddenly rang in Ling Xiao's ears. At this time, Lin Haoyu and the others had already walked to the front. Only the 2 of them were left behind. Of course, this was the opportunity that Lin Ruoxian was looking for. Nothing much. Thank you, Deacon Ruoxian, for stopping the Sand Eagle. Otherwise, I'm afraid I wouldn't be in one piece. Ling Xiao was very confident, but he also knew his limits. With his current strength, if some external factors were excluded, the Sand Eagle's strength could completely crush him. Without Lin Ruoxian's help, he would have been seriously injured. Naturally, words of gratitude had to be said. I brought you into the Eight Immortals Mountain, so I have to be responsible for you. Lin Ruoxian smiled and said, to be honest, I really underestimated you. I didn't expect you to kill Shahai so easily. However, it's time for you to leave Eight Immortals Mountain. Why? Ling Xiao asked in astonishment. You still don't understand after seeing the idiot? Although he can't do anything to you openly because of the sex order, the sand race is very powerful, unlike Mo Feiyu who is alone. If they really want to deal with you, you will have endless troubles. At that time, I'm afraid I won't even have the heart to cultivate. Lin Ruoxian reminded him, once you leave the Eight Immortals Mountain, with your talent, joining any sect is better than staying here. Your personality is really not suitable for such a sect. Attendant Ruoxian, I'll say something that you don't like to hear. Perhaps you didn't look down on me in the past. Even now, you're still looking down on me. Ling Xiao chuckled. Truth be told, I don't care about the idiot at all. The sand race is mediocre. Do you really think I'm afraid of them? Lin Ruoxian's jaw dropped. She suddenly realized that the person standing in front of her was a martial artist who had entered the cycle of reincarnation. Before entering the cycle of reincarnation, he had been at the peak of the life-seizing level and had stepped into the reincarnation level. There was no way he would care about the sand race. She opened her mouth to speak, but suddenly found that she couldn't bring herself to say anything. After a long moment passed, she couldn't help but say, "You might have been strong in the past, but you're still in the cycle of reincarnation. You haven't recovered your former strength." "I understand that you care about me, Attendant Ruoxian," he said. "But if a martial artist cowers in the face of anything, then his path of martial arts will be filled with obstacles. Don't worry, I'm not the type of person who doesn't know the height of the heavens and the depth of the earth. If I run into a problem that I can't solve, then I'll take the initiative to leave." Ling Xiao's way of thinking was simple. Although there would be difficulties, they wouldn't cause him to despair. Therefore, he didn't need to give up. If he gave up once, then there would be a second time and a third. If he gave up too many times, it would become a habit. That was a very scary thing. "Fine. Since you've decided to stay, I'll do my best to give you as much information as possible. That way you'll be safer." Lin Ruoxian knew that she might have been overthinking things. Ling Xiao was much more intelligent and rational than she had imagined. "What information?" Ling Xiao asked. Lin Ruoxian said, "First of all, don't think that just because you easily took first place in the exam that you're the #1 genius in the lower 8 immortal mountains. You should know that this exam was only for the first level of the hell of Yinyang realm. At most, you'll only be the first amongst these people. In the Black Tortoise continent, geniuses were divided into several grades: Gold Grade Genius, Jade Grade Genius, Earth Grade Genius, Heaven Grade Genius, Immortal Grade Genius, and Divine Grade Genius. There's also a genius of the highest rank, known as the Human King Genius. Since ancient times, only a single human king has reached this rank. Even the true Devil Emperor of the True Devil Empire was only a divine genius. In the lower 8 immortal mountains, Cheng Feiying is considered an Earth rank genius. Sha Hai is only a Jade rank genius. But there are 2 people with even higher potential than them, and they're Sky rank geniuses." "Oh, just who are they?" Ling Xiao asked. Lin Ruoxian shook her head. "That's a secret of the sect. I have no way of knowing. I only know that there are 2 of them. Sky rank geniuses. I know." Ling Xiao's expression didn't change at all. Back in the White Tiger continent, he'd met multiple immortal rank geniuses. Feng Fei, Tianhai Tyranny, and Long Qin, all of them. He'd also been judged to be a divine rank genius. Thus, he didn't think there was anything special about Sky rank geniuses. Lin Ruoxian shook his head with a wry smile. He could roughly guess Ling Xiao's past and didn't waste any more time on the topic. "Then, let's talk about the second question that concerns you. It's about the Devil's Shadow sect." Lin Ruoxian's expression suddenly turned serious. "What's wrong with the Devil's Shadow sect?" Instantly, Ling Xiao became extremely nervous. This was because the Devil's Shadow sect was even more troublesome than the sand race in his eyes. Although it hadn't been long since its rise, it spread like a plague and created a terrifying Devil's Shadow whirlwind in the Black Tortoise continent. "You said before that the Devil's Shadow sect has a deacon in the 8 Immortals Prefecture, right?" "Yes. Did you find out who he is?" Ling Xiao asked. Lin Ruoxian nodded. "I don't know if you still remember the Heavenly Wind Society." "Of course I do. The only faction in the 8 Immortals Prefecture that has the qualifications to be mentioned in the same breath as the 8 Immortals Mountain. It seems to be a sect directly under the Imperial Court?" Ling Xiao nodded. "It's good that you remember. Don't be scared when I tell you. The Devil's Shadow sect's deacon in the 8 Immortals Prefecture is the youngest son of the Heavenly Wind Society's leader, Qin Changsheng. Chapter 2264. What? Ling Xiao was stunned. Although he might not be afraid of the Heavenly Wind Group, with his current strength, he was no match for the Heavenly Wind Group. The deacon of the 8 Immortal City was the son of the Heavenly Wind Group's leader, Qin Chongxing. This was troublesome. Does Qin Chongxing know about this? Ling Xiao asked. I don't know, but I think he knows. Lin Ruoxian guessed. Qin Chongxing not only has a high cultivation, but is also very smart. It's impossible that he doesn't know what his son is doing. Then this is troublesome. Ling Xiao frowned. If Qin Chongxing didn't know about this, he could still kill the deacon behind his back. But if Qin Chongxing knew, then killing the deacon meant offending Qin Chongxing. At that time, the 8 Immortals Mountain wouldn't protect him. They would definitely send him away. Yes, it's very troublesome, not to mention Qin Chongxing. Just the strength of the 8 Immortal City alone is not something you can deal with. Lin Ruoxian continued. I heard that although Qin Chongxing's son's talent isn't very good, his cultivation is at the peak of the 3rd level of hell of the Yin-Yang realm. He has 6 hall masters under him, all of whom are at the peak of the 2nd level of hell of the Yin-Yang realm. 2 of them are at the 1st rank. Besides the hall masters, there are 12 protectors and thousands of town deacons. The protectors are at the peak of the 1st level of hell of the Yin-Yang realm to the early stage of the 2nd level of hell of the Yin-Yang realm. There are also 1st rank martial artists among them. Most of the town deacons have just broken through to the Yin-Yang realm, so there is no need to worry too much about them. There are also no 1st rank martial artists, but there are many of them. Not to mention, there are hundreds of thousands of disciples. Lin Ruoxian said so much to tell Ling Xiao that he should try his best to escape from the Devil's Shadow sect. Unless the 8 Immortals Mountain helped him, Ling Xiao would be courting death if he tried to fight him by himself. Of course, I will help you. Lin Yang will also help you, but it's just a drop in the bucket. Lin Ruoxian added. Didn't the sect leader of the 8 Immortals Mountain read the previous letter? Ling Xiao asked. Yes, but he doesn't care at all. He doesn't care about a mere Devil's Shadow sect. Lin Ruoxian sighed. Haha, after all this time, I still have to deal with the Devil's Shadow sect myself. Forget it. It's better to rely on myself than on others. In any case, I already have a death grudge with the Devil's Shadow sect. If the Devil's Shadow sect is not destroyed, I will never have a day of peace. So they must die. Ling Xiao gritted his teeth. Actually, after hearing Lin Ruoxian's words, Ling Xiao was actually relieved. Within the 8 Immortal City, the strongest martial artist in the Demon Shadow sect was only at the peak of the Yin-Yang realm's 3rd level of hell. Moreover, he was not even a rank 1 martial artist. He had the confidence to deal with such a person. Although the difference in cultivation between the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd levels of hell was huge, the difference in cultivation base between the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd levels of hell was huge. This was why one Yuan Qi could completely suppress hundreds of disciples of the 8 Immortals Mountain in the ghost prison. However, Ling Xiao wasn't an ordinary rank 1 martial artist. He was a rank 1 martial artist who had entered the Samsara realm. Challenging someone of a higher level was nothing out of the ordinary for him. No, to be exact, he had to be able to do it. Otherwise, the benefits of entering the Samsara realm would be too small. Of course, given his current cultivation base, he still couldn't deal with the 8 Immortal Cities deacon unless his cultivation base broke through to the 2nd level of hell, or he used the power of a Yuan Venerate and the Butterfly Lady. However, dealing with the Devil's Shadow sect wasn't something that could be done overnight. The Devil's Shadow sect was probably focused on the vampiric sacrifice now. Instead, they didn't pay much attention to him and Yuhua Town. He had time. As the 2 of them chatted, they unknowingly arrived at the foot of the Black Immortal Mountain. Feng Ru was already waiting there. Feng Ru hadn't stopped cultivating during the past few days of assessment. Her cultivation base had clearly advanced to the Yin-Yang realm, thanks to the Yin-Yang Hell Elixir that Ling Xiao had given her. Although she had just broken through, it was obvious that Feng Ru was very happy. Her cultivation base, which had stagnated for a very long time, had broken through now. Anyone would be very happy. Junior brother, the Mountain Master, is back. He said that you have made a great contribution to the Black Immortal Mountain and have gained face. Therefore, he wants to hold a special celebration for you. Feng Ru said excitedly when she saw Ling Xiao. Then I'll take my leave first. You should consider the matter of the Devil's Shadow sect carefully. Don't act recklessly. Lin Ruoxian sent Ling Xiao to the foot of the mountain before leaving. I know. Ling Xiao watched Lin Ruoxian leave before following Feng Ru up the Black Immortal Mountain. The Mountain Master of the Black Immortal Mountain, the eldest disciple of the Black Immortal Mountain, Tyrant Feng, and the second disciple of the Black Immortal Mountain, Zhou Tong, were already waiting there. A table with fine wine and delicacies was placed on top of the beautiful mountain peak. Feng Ru smiled. Junior brother, you guys eat. I'll take my leave first. Take your leave? Ling Xiao was stunned for a moment. He could tell that the dishes on the table were all cooked by Feng Ru. After all, he had stayed in the Black Immortal Mountain for some time. Ling Xiao had some understanding of Feng Ru's culinary skills. These dishes were clearly cooked by her with great care. Of course, unlike the food of ordinary people, these dishes were quite beneficial to one's cultivation after eating them. Some could increase the strength of one's body, while others could increase the upper limit of one's inner strength. In short, although the effects were not as obvious as pills, they were still good things. However, he could not sit down and eat the dishes cooked by Feng Ru. He had to take his leave. Ling Xiao did not understand this logic. He was very dissatisfied. Senior sister, sit down and eat together. Since it's a celebration for me, there's no reason to take your leave. Ling Xiao said indifferently. Ling Xiao, don't think that you can be arrogant just because you got first place in this assessment. In our Chen nation, no matter how high a woman's status is or how powerful she cannot sit with a man. This is the rule. Zhou Tong shouted sternly. All right, since that's the case, I'll go celebrate with senior Sister Feng. I'm sorry, Mountain Lord. Later, this disciple will apologize to you. Ling Xiao stood up and looked coldly at Zhou Tong. He had almost killed Sha Hai, but this Zhou Tong was still so arrogant. It seemed like he had a new backer. Was it the desert cloud? Ling Xiao sneered. Not to mention the desert cloud. Even if it was an idiot, he, Ling Xiao, was not afraid. A mere desert cloud was nothing. Sit down, Ling Xiao. Feng Ru, come and eat with us. There are no outsiders in the Black Immortal Mountain. There aren't so many rules. The Mountain Lord of the Black Immortal Mountain smiled faintly. Mountain Lord, I admit that Ling Xiao is talented. However, his character is too impudent. He doesn't know the immensity of heaven and earth. Moreover, he will seek revenge for the smallest grievance. Sooner or later, he will harm our Black Immortal Mountain. Zhou Tong said loudly, Enough. I'm still the Mountain Lord of the Black Immortal Mountain, right? Chapter 2265. Zhou Tong shuddered, suddenly remembering what this mountain chieftain had done in the past. Only then did he shut his mouth. The Mountain Lord of Black Immortal Mountain was not someone to be trifled with. Among the 8 Mountain Lords of the 8 Immortal Mountains, Qi Lian was not the strongest. It was not the Mountain Lord of Orange Immortal Mountain, but the Mountain Lord of Black Immortal Mountain. Ling Xiao felt the extraordinary killing intent of the Mountain Lord of Black Immortal Mountain. He thought to himself, this person is too mysterious. I have to be wary of him in the future. After he and Feng Ru sat down, the killing intent instantly disappeared. A smile as bright as the sun appeared on the Black Immortal Mountain's Mountain Master's face. Ling Xiao, in the few days that I was not in the sect, You really did a few big things. Amazing. To be honest, even I, the Mountain Lord, was shocked. I did not expect you to have cultivated the lightning battle body. Rare, really rare. The Mountain Lord did not mean to say this. He was speaking the truth. To be honest, the Mountain Lord of Black Immortal Mountain did think that Ling Xiao's talent was not bad. However, he only thought that he was a gold or jade immortal genius and could not be compared to Sha Hai and Cheng Feiying. However, after this battle, he understood that an amazing person had come to his Black Immortal Mountain. Ling Xiao's talent should be, at least, an Earth Immortal Genius. As long as he was trained well, he would definitely become the absolute glory of Black Immortal Mountain in the future. Mountain Lord, you flatter me. I only have some cultivation experience because I reincarnated. It's nothing special. Ling Xiao said humbly, no matter what, it is true that you have contributed greatly to Black Immortal Mountain. After this trial, Black Immortal Mountain status has greatly increased. Not only did the sect give us another 40 lightning elemental jades, but they also gave us a lot of spirit stones and resources. In the future, your cultivation conditions will also be better. The Mountain Lord of Black Immortal Mountain, Foundling Xiao, pleasing to the eye. Perhaps in a few years, with his and Ling Xiao's hard work, Black Immortal Mountain could regain its former glory. I am originally a member of Black Immortal Mountain. It is only right for me to contribute to Black Immortal Mountain. Ling Xiao said lightly. Besides, ever since I joined Black Immortal Mountain, Senior Sister Feng Ru has been very good to me. Mountain Lord also helped me through a difficult time. I know how to repay kindness. No matter what intentions the Mountain Lord of Black Immortal Mountain had, he was indebted to him. He did not care about anything else. All right, let's skip the pleasantries. Let's eat. The Mountain Lord of the Black Immortal Mountain smiled, and everyone began to eat. Mountain Lord of Black Immortal Mountain. What do you lack? What do you lack the most now? What do you lack now? What do you lack now? What do you lack is? What you lack now? What? What do you lack? What do you lack now with you? What is Lord? Immortal, immortal, immortal? Mountain Lord, didn't you say that you would only give him a mid-tier jade grade martial art technique? Zhou Tong could not help but ask. I. The reason the Mountain Lord of Black Immortal Mountain had changed his mind at the last minute was because of Ling Xiao's gratitude. Ling Xiao was indebted to him, which meant that Ling Xiao was a loyal and affectionate person. He was treating Ling Xiao well now, so Ling Xiao would definitely repay him in the future. Although a mid-grade jade martial technique was good, Ling Xiao did not lack it. Giving it away wouldn't have much of an effect. That was why he had allowed Ling Xiao to make the request himself. Ling Xiao really needed a lot of things now. However, in order to increase his strength, there were two things that he couldn't do without. Then give me a spirit gem or a powerful beast martial soul. Spirit gems were for Yuan Venerates and divine scriptures. As long as he had enough spirit gems, Yuan Venerates and divine scriptures would be of great help. Therefore, this was very important for his survival. A beast martial soul was because he wanted to maximize the combat strength of the beast god martialists. Given his current cultivation base, it was simply impossible for him to truly control the transformation of the 12 beast gods. He had also tried to use the sun god transformation in the past, but to be honest, it had been very awkward. Not only had it consumed a lot of energy, but its combat strength hadn't been as high as expected. It was like a child wearing an adult's clothes. The clothes were nice, but they couldn't control it. Therefore, he wanted to make his status as a beast god martialist even stronger. The best way was to find a suitable beast martial soul for himself. Of course, there was a limit to this. A beast martial soul could only be a beast of the same species as the 12 beast gods. Z, Cho in mao, chun, si wu, wei, shen yu su hai. Rat, ox, tiger, rabbit, dragon, snake, horse, goat, monkey, chicken, dog, pig. Even if they weren't of the same species, as long as they were of the same species, they could use them. Of course, he had also told the mountain lord of Black Immortal Mountain about this condition. However, he didn't expect much when he said this, as such an item was very difficult to find even in the Hall of Good and Evil. It was unlikely that the mountain lord of Black Immortal Mountain had it either. I really don't have a soul gem, nor do I have the beast martial soul you want. The mountain lord of Black Immortal Mountain shook his head, as expected. Although he didn't have much hope when the mountain lord of Black Immortal Mountain really said it, Ling Xiao was still a little disappointed. However, don't be too disappointed. Although I don't have a beast martial soul, I know where you can find what you need. The mountain lord of Black Immortal Mountain added, Please tell me. Ling Xiao hurriedly said, There is one in the Hall of Good and Evil. It seems to be a beast martial soul at the second level of Yin Yang Realm, Peak of Hell. It's called the Steel-Armored Bull Demon. This should be suitable for you, but I have to remind you that this Steel-Armored Bull Demon martial soul is very expensive. It's said that it's worth more than 5 million low-grade spirit stones in the Heavenly Dragon Trading Company. This beast martial soul is compatible with the second level of Yin Yang Realm, Hell. Even if you want to exchange it at the Hall of Good and Evil, it'll cost more than 500 contribution points. The mountain lord of Black Immortal Mountain reminded, I can't help you with the contribution points, but if you need spirit stones, I can give you some. Also, if you want exchange for the Steel-Armored Bull Demon martial soul at a cheaper price, you can do so as well. There's a mission in the Hall of Good and Evil that no one has completed. If you help, perhaps the contribution points for the Steel-Armored Bull Demon will only be 100, or even less. Hearing the mountain lord of Black Immortal Mountain's words, Ling Xiao couldn't help but feel delighted. Although he now had more than 500 contribution points, he couldn't possibly use all of them to exchange for the Steel-Armored Bull Demon martial soul. Moreover, this exchange for the Steel-Armored Bull Demon martial soul was just a trial. If he didn't succeed, it would be a waste. Therefore, he was absolutely willing to spend less contribution points. As for the mission in the Hall of Good and Evil, it was a small matter. He believed that he could complete it. After the banquet, Ling Xiao went straight to the Hall of Good and Evil. He really wanted to know what the mission of the Hall of Good and Evil was. Chapter 2266. Ling Xiao planned to give it a try as soon as he obtained the Steel-Armored Bull Demon martial soul. At the very least, he could use it until his cultivation reached the peak of the second level of the Yin Yang realm. He could change it when he obtained a better martial soul in the future. Although there was no difference in grades between martial souls, there was a difference in levels. The stronger the demonic beast, the more powerful its martial soul would be. Therefore, changing his martial soul according to his cultivation would be very helpful in increasing his battle prowess. In the Hall of Rewards and Punishments, Ling Xiao was warmly welcomed by the outer hall master, Lin Haoyu. What surprised Ling Xiao was that the Black Immortal Mountain's mountain master was also here. He came here specifically to talk about the Steel-Armored Bull Demon martial soul. Even if you didn't come, with my relationship with Ling Xiao, I would have kept the Steel-Armored Bull Demon martial soul for him. Lin Haoyu smiled and said, This is a small matter. Did you not tell him about the other matter? Hearing Lin Haoyu's words, Ling Xiao was clearly a little puzzled. Because I don't know what the outcome will be, I didn't tell him so that he wouldn't be happy for nothing. The Black Immortal Mountain's Mountain Master shook his head. What's the matter? Ling Xiao asked curiously, Seniors, can't you explain it to me? Actually, it's nothing. You should know that the 8 Immortal Mountain has a promotion test, right? I saw that your talent and strength have basically met the requirements. So I sent a request to the sect to participate in the test. To be honest, you offended the sand race, so I don't know if this request will be accepted. That's why I didn't tell you. The Black Immortal Mountain's Mountain Master explained. Thank you, Mountain Master. Ling Xiao smiled. He was very happy. If he could advance to the 8th Immortal Mountain, he would be able to obtain more resources, and his cultivation would increase even faster. This was definitely something that would only bring him benefits and no harm. You're welcome. However, since this matter has already been mentioned, I'll remind you that if you want to participate in the test, your cultivation must at least reach the peak of the 2nd level of the Yin Yang realm, or the early stage of the 2nd level of the Yin Yang realm. Of course, if you have the same strength, you can also pass as an exception. The Black Immortal Mountain's Mountain Master explained. It doesn't seem that difficult. Ling Xiao said casually. This upper 8 Immortal Mountain was so mysterious. He thought that it was very strong, but it was obvious that he was thinking too much. Don't underestimate it, Ling Xiao. Do you know that the number of people who will be able to pass the examination of the 8 Immortals Mountain this time will not exceed 100? In the end, only 3 or 4 people would be able to pass the test. The probability of this was very small. Therefore, even if you pass the application, don't expect too much. This time you are participating in the 8 Immortal Mountains assessment to see the world and exchange blows with other young masters. He, Ling Xiao, would never accompany the Crown Prince in his studies. Of course, he would not say this out loud, in case Black Immortal Mountain's Mountain Lord and Lin Haoyu said he was too arrogant. It was meaningless to emphasize this. It seems that you don't think much of it. Black Immortal Mountain's Mountain Lord's eyes were sharp. He immediately saw through Ling Xiao's thoughts. He sighed and said, Lin Ruoxian should have told you that there are 2 heaven-grade geniuses in 8 Immortal Mountain, right? She did, but she doesn't know who they are. Ling Xiao said. She doesn't know, but I know. The Mountain Master of the Black Immortal Mountain said, These 2 will also be taking part in the trial of the 8 Immortals Mountain. One is Desert Cloud from Scarlet Immortal Mountain, and the other is Akira from Scarlet Immortal Mountain. Both of them had reached the 2nd level of Hell of the Yin Yang realm. You've seen Desert Cloud before, so I won't say much about it. As for Akira, his cultivation is at the middle stage of the 2nd level of the Yin Yang realm. Although your senior brothers, Chu Rinfeng and Zhou Tong, have higher cultivation, their actual combat power is not stronger than theirs. Moreover, they are a little older. This time, they will also participate in the test, but their chances of passing are very low. Of course, they are much higher than you. He thought that Ling Xiao would restrain himself after hearing his words. However, Black Immortal Mountain's Mountain Lord clearly misunderstood Ling Xiao's character. Not only did the strong competitors not make him lose his courage, but it also stimulated his fighting spirit. No matter what, he had to raise his cultivation to the 2nd level of the Yin Yang realm before the test. Moreover, Ling Xiao did not seem to care about the strength of those people, but the identity of one of them. Akira can't be related to Qi Yenner, right? Ling Xiao asked. Of course they are related, because Akira is Qi Yenner's sister. Although Akira is a reincarnation realm martial artist, they share the same mother, so they are related by blood. Black Immortal Mountain's Mountain Lord replied. Hee, I hope she doesn't cause trouble for me. Otherwise, I don't mind letting her follow in Qi Yenner's footsteps. Ling Xiao thought to himself. Of course, he would not take the initiative to deal with Akira, but he hoped that Akira would not provoke him. Otherwise, with his character, he would not let it go. Qi Yenner would become Akira's role model. Ling Xiao, not only do you have to worry about Akira, but you also have to be wary of Desert Cloud. Lin Haoyu suddenly said, I know, the sand race hates me to the core, so Desert Cloud will not let me off easily. However, I will not let him off easily either. Ling Xiao would not forget Desert Cloud's attempt to kill him. Therefore, he would naturally kill Desert Cloud if he had the chance. Hearing this, Lin Haoyu could only smile bitterly. Ling Zhao's temper was like this, so what could he do? All right, seniors, let's not talk anymore. I still plan to go to the Hall of Good and Evil to exchange for something, so I'll take my leave. Ling Xiao did not only want to exchange for something, but also wanted to exchange the remaining Netherworld weapons for contribution points. He originally had 15 of them. He kept one for himself, one for Lin Yang, and one for Ling Jiao. There were still 12 that could be exchanged. He reckoned that he could exchange them for a lot of contribution points. Don't be in such a hurry to leave. Just as Ling Xiao was about to step out of the door, the Orange Immortal Mountains Mountain Lord and Chang Feiying arrived together. The one who called out to Ling Xiao was the Orange Immortal Mountains Mountain Lord. Senior, is something the matter? Ling Xiao asked curiously. This old man, how should I put it? Sigh, I'm a little embarrassed. The Orange Immortal Mountains Mountain Lord said bashfully, Forget it, I'll throw away my old face. Actually, because Feiying was in danger in the ghost prison, this old man said that I would let Feiying marry anyone who could save Feiying. But now, it seems that it won't happen. Old man, are you going back on your word? Lin Haoyu asked with a smile. You're tuning in to the Thunder Spear YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.